matchup we've seen in the playoffs in a very long time. Lots of interesting stuff. Teams playing zone presses, switching out behind the plate. Really smart teams, really smart coaches. And we have a series now with that incredible OG Anunoby shot. So what do we focus in on here for game number 4 already of this series?
Well, what I'm really interested in is Toronto's, let's call it self-created shots. So the circumstances when Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry and some of those other guys are doing their own attacks, and we've seen Toronto really struggle in that. That's how they got some of the pick and roll stuff that helped the offense look better in the fourth quarter. Of course, they run a lot in transition, so that's something that I'm really interested in here.
Absolutely, and hopefully something you guys are really interested in is clicking that subscribe button, and then right next to there's a little bell for whenever we go live. So please hit that, and we'll see again. You mentioned the self-created offense for the Toronto guards with Lowry and VanVleet, particularly Lowry getting to the rim a ton in Game 3. Let's see if that continues. They want to try and bring Jason Tatum, who was only 5 of 18 in that game, off the screen. Good hard double against the sideline by Gasol. And this is going to be Toronto ball too. Gasol really does a nice job of just executing the system. He's supposed to be slow, but particularly on those little sideline traps, he's very effective. First, starting off a little elevator doors for VanVleet. Now they wanted to try and get Lowry curling around. He was open. Gasol actually missed him, but the main impetus of the play was a 3 for Siakam, but he missed that. I don't know if a 3 would be the first shot I'd want for Siakam.
No, it was catch and shoot, but yeah, it's not my favorite.
Here's Tice going to the pick and pop jumper. That's a shot Toronto surely will live with. Toronto's offense has slowly gotten better throughout this series, and we'll see whether that trend continues today. Here's Lowry stepping back, using his size on Kemba Walker. Kyle Lowry has struggled to finish in recent years, but he's using that bowling ball body again against a team that doesn't have a lot of huge traditional rim protectors in the Celtics. Here's Jaylen Brown against Anunoby. Not an advantage matchup. Anunoby is all over him. Brown tried to draw up and draw the foul, and they are going to give it to him because Anunoby, I thought he really messed that up. There's no reason to put your hand on his back like that. Brown felt the contact and then went up for it. He's kind of resting his arm on him there. But that's going to be a foul. You know it's going to be a foul, so you just got to show your hands and stay in position.
Right, and sometimes it's about making life easier or harder on the official, and in that case, OG Anunoby made it easier on the official, and that led to Jaylen Brown getting 2 free throws. And a reminder that you can ask questions using whichever app whatever app you're watching us with, whether it's YouTube, Periscope, or Twitch. You can ask questions there. We answer them during stoppages, but not during play because we're calling the action.
Here's Lowry on the drive, engages Tice, now nashes it under the rim. Oh, a nice move again. Double pump, but that time Tatum with the stop, but then nobody went to get the loose ball, and the Raps recover. Kyle Lowry eventually got his own rebound. Now it's VanVleet. He'll snake the pick and roll. Tatum getting back into position on him. He's got to create something. Nice body control by VanVleet, but they've missed a couple of layups now inside, although they were good looks. Here's Tatum in the pick and roll, right down the lane. Tice, nice help comes from Lowry, but good pass. Jaylen Brown wide open, but not even close on that corner 3. Lowry trying to use his size on Walker again. Instead, they force VanVleet away from the screen. No advantage gained on that side pick and roll. Swinging around to Siakam. He'll take the 3 over Brown and hit it. Corner 3 for Siakam, where he's always been a little more comfortable.
And interesting that both of Siakam's shots so far have been catch and shoot. It hasn't been him trying to create one-on-one against these Celtics.
They did get him going a little more in the second half of Game 3. Here's Brown swinging it to Smart. Nice play there as Siakam helped off of Smart, but the Celtics missing these open 3s early. Only 2 points so far. Lowry trying to get Brown in the air and does so. And his opposite number 7, will send to the line.
And Jaylen Brown was in position there. He didn't need to jump at the pump fake there. I mean, it's harder with Kyle Lowry because he doesn't necessarily jump that high on his jump shots at this point in his career. But Jaylen Brown had the position there. And Kyle Lowry, you know that if you jump and he didn't actually take the shot, that he's going to draw the foul.
Well, and Jaylen Brown actually had 4 block shots in Game 3, and maybe that's something that the Raptors noticed, and they're like, all right, well, let's see if we can get him a little overeager. Boston does have, as Rob Williams is going to come in already here to replace Tyson. I think part of that is just to get Rob Williams some shorter stints. Maybe we see him get tired. We'll point that out when it happens. Because Tyson, he's not in foul trouble, is he?
No, Tice has no fouls. Jaylen Brown has the only one.
Yeah, maybe this is just related to thinking that Tice wasn't doing a good job or something, or it's just to get these guys in and out in shorter stints. 2 screens for Walker. He snakes through the first one, goes into Gasol. What a finish. Left-handed finish through the legal contact by Gasol.
Yeah, and jumping into the shot blocker also allowed Kemba Walker, he's so good at that, to stabilize himself a little bit.
Here's Lowry, and he draws the foul as Williams put his
Left
arm.
hand.
Yep, the left forearm just a little bit there. As soon as Kyle Lowry feels that contact, he's going to go up with it and draw the foul. Now, I question this being a shooting foul, again, because he felt the contact and then decided to shoot. There's no way he would have taken off from there had it not been for feeling the contact first. So that should not be a shooting foul. I think the refs have started to slip a little bit on their enforcement of that rule, which was a needed change after 2017.
Yeah, and we'll see how Robert Williams is in terms of offense efficiency. He missed his first shot of the series. I think he went 11 for 11 and then missed his 12th. And the 11th was that crazy dunk that he had where Siakam had the flagrant foul.
Smart screens for Walker. Now a second screen comes from Williams. Walker swinging it to Smart. He gets penetration, tries to leave it for Williams. Nice play by Gasol, and Williams with the more difficult shot than his usual variety.
Yeah, and that was with 12 seconds on the clock. I think you try to get something better there.
Yeah, and we're going to have to stop analyzing these Celtics possessions so quickly more quickly because Toronto is coming right back, and Lowry has been dynamic here early on once more.
This is the third drawn foul for Kyle Lowry in the first three and a half minutes of the game.
Yeah, we'll have to make a note of that one for the podcast.
Yeah, that's something actually NBA.com's, I think it's the miscellaneous tab. After a game is over, they don't do it live. It tracks fouls drawn now, and it's something that's a stat that I've long wanted to see is like on the main page because it's so valuable.
More free throws for Lowry, and Boston has not been getting great looks, and they've missed the 2 that they have had. And a big part of Boston's success defensively this series has been not fouling. Here's Walker. They'll switch this. Tatum rips through nicely into the lane against Gasol. Brown with his 3. Good footwork as the pass was off, but Brown can't hit that. Now they throw it ahead. OG again. Boston's transition defense, I thought that was a foul on Tatum.
That was
they
a
didn't
push.
call it. Now here's Smart pulling up wide open. And wow, what a big exchange that was there. Back to 11-7. But Boston's transition defense has fallen apart. Usually you'd think it would get better throughout the course of a series. Now they don't know who they have, and they give up another wide open 3. This has been bad transition defense here early on, and it does usually start to fall apart more for them with Williams in the game, although these haven't been all his fault. Here's Walker. Wow, that's a deep 3. Oh, baby. And as bad as Boston has looked, Danny, so far, 2 3-pointers, a couple of misses from the Raptors, and they're right in it again. Lowry snaking it again. Nice technician by Lowry. As soon as the big started to drop, he just snuck right behind Gasol. And that's where I think Gasol adds some value over Ibaka. I know you and I debated of whether it should be Ibaka or Gasol. As here's Williams with the easy layup off that Walker pick and roll. But I think Gasol a much better screener than Serge Ibaka.
Oh yeah, unquestionably.
Here's Lowry as Tatum went for the steal, and they're lucky to dodge the open 3. Switching everything on the perimeter. Now they got Tatum against Siakam for his first isolation. He'll try and drive and draw the foul, and he makes it. That shot right there from Tatum, though, I don't think that's been a big plus for him. That kind of 1-foot runner, it's sort of a jump shot, as Lowry getting incredibly easy penetration again every single time, and he sets up the open 3. Gasol with the quick decision up top to swing it to Van Vliet, but they're just letting Kyle Lowry in transition break the paint every single time right now.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of cohesion and discipline in terms of Boston. It's not even clear what they're trying to do in a lot of these circumstances. And what has to be a concern in some ways for Toronto is they've been doing exceedingly well with that, but I would assume that well is going to be a little less dry later. It'll be a little drier later on than it has been right now.
Yeah, and only two technically credited fast break buckets for Toronto, and they've also shot it well from three early on. But they are really doing a good job of just pushing it up and breaking the paint. And I mean, Lowry, this guy, he's got a ton of energy. He played 46 minutes and 29 seconds in the last game.
Truly incredible.
Unfortunately, you probably can't bet on how many minutes Kyle Lowry is going to play tonight. But for anything else you might want to bet on, bookies.com is the place to go, both for the best information and the best deals on legal betting in your state.
Yeah, and it really is about information, and that's having the live updating pages, which is a real benefit, especially when things can be moving so quickly, whether it's injury reporting, like we saw the thing about Giannis being questionable for tomorrow, or if it's line movement just because something's happening. So you can check that out there. Also, expert opinions, and it's a lot of great resources to have in a single place, especially if you're over 21 and can legally gamble in your state, which is increasing pretty regularly now.
Why is Tatum on Lowry? Well, I mean, I think maybe part of the reason I posited at the beginning of the series, I don't know this to be true, is that Lowry was guarding Tatum a lot too, and so they wanted to avoid cross matches in transition with the way Lowry pushes it up. But I think they just want to put more size on him, and I do think that maybe if Lowry continues to go this well, they may have to start thinking about Marcus Smart guarding him.
See. When will we get your Rockets Lakers game one thoughts? Tonight. Nate and I are going to do a different recording schedule. We sometimes tweak it during the playoffs, and especially with the eventfulness of Friday's games, we will record on Saturday night, and then we're planning on recording on Sunday night as well.
Yeah, so look for it about maybe 2 hours after this game is over.
Could we see more Siakam at the five? Yeah, I think we could, but the challenge is that Nurse, I think he has more quality at the big man spots than on the wing, especially in the times when Norm Powell's looked a little bit shakier. So he doesn't have, they don't have a ton of different guys that are clearly in the rotation. Like, you don't want to sub out Marc Gasol or Serge Ibaka to play Terrence Davis, let's say. I don't think Davis can really defend a lot of the key players. And that's something that Boston has that's a real challenge, is it's not just they play a lot of wing-sized guys. They play a lot of wing-sized guys that are incredibly good basketball players, and so you can't – some of the inferior talent just doesn't have a place to be in this series.
Man, this is really long commercial.
Well, it's the first commercial of the game, and I think we're most of the way through the first quarter, so maybe there's some of that.
Yeah, this is just the normal under 7 timeout. But
yeah,
here you go.
True.
17-14, so the Raps 17 points here. That's they started off well offensively in game 3 as well. There's Anunoby, who hit that iconic game winner in game 3. Williams setting the screen for Tatum. They're just going to switch that. Tatum finding Smart as Siakam helped off of him on the roll from Williams, and he missed that, but the gravity of the roll from Robert Williams sucking in to open up that Smart 3. Here's Gasol in the post against Williams. Let's see if he can pick up Williams' second here. Tries to do so, and it's just a floating hook shot. I think Gasol, I've always felt like he needed more of a power game in the post, given his body type. Mostly finesse moves by him. Grant Williams into the post to Tatum. Let's see if he can get going. Double team coming off of Grant Williams. Tatum blows by on the baseline.
Was filthy.
Yeah, and that's all Pascal Siakam's fault. The double team is coming from the top. You cannot get beat baseline in that situation.
Yeah, and a late reaction by Marc Gasol. I don't think he expected Tatum to get by that quickly, especially to go baseline.
Yeah, when you get blown by that fast, I mean, Tatum's basically the same distance from the basket as Gasol is on the opposite side. Now it's Van Vliet off the pick and roll from Gasol. Gets a good screen. No, did not get a good screen. He stuck the right elbow out into him.
Yeah, and I think these have been fairly solid minutes for Robert Williams. I've been a bigger fan of his going. There are a lot of those like raw centers that I end up liking more than most people. I think he has good tools. I'm not saying he should be starting over Tice or anything crazy like that, but I think he provides value in this series.
Williams screening for Tatum again. They get the switch, then they pre-switch back. There's that little 1 foot runner floater that isn't really a floater or a layup that just has not gone in much for Tatum in the series. And Van Vliet can't finish through the verticality, so those guards are now 0 for 3 when they've avoided fouling him at the rim. Oh, what a move by Smart! Lobs it up, but Lowry was there to knock it away. Great play by Lowry. Now Siakam as the Celtics. That's great transition defense by the Celtics. Lowry engaging Williams, but Brown is back. Gasol will take the three.
And on the previous play, Robert Williams should have sold the fact that Kyle Lowry jumped into him a little bit more. I think he was kind of unfazed by it, but he could have pulled a Kyle Lowry and gotten a foul on Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, let's watch the fatigue level from Williams here. He's been in now for about 5 minutes in a row, though they did have the timeout. Tatum in the mix. Deep three, way short. That was good defense from Siakam. Not much of an attack there by the Celtics on that possession. Van Vliet eluding Brown beautifully, but can't finish it. Siakam tips it out. Two guys go for the rebound. That's Lowry beating Rob Williams to the loose ball again. Now here's Siakam. Nice pass to Gasol. Van Vliet. Beautiful sequence. Marc Gasol, that's the value that he brings. It's annoying sometimes to see him not shoot the ball, but he always knows where his teammates is. And now they completely messed this up. Let me see what happened on this. Oh, they went to the zone. This is that matchup zone that they first went to, and Anunoby just let Williams go right behind him. Now it's Lowry, trailed by Tatum. Brown coming over off Van Vliet. That time Gasol found Anunoby instead, and another great play by Gasol.
And that was too casual of a closeout by Marcus Smart. He could have gotten there, and he did like a little hop instead of just selling out.
Yeah, OG Anunoby has had the touch from three-point range in this series. They're back to the zone again here, and that's going to leave Grant Williams wide open in the corner. So the Celtics getting two really nice shots against the zone. They clearly made that a point of emphasis to force the middle to be occupied under the basket. That's where that zone is vulnerable. We'll talk more about that as we begin here. So watch this. What they're doing essentially is, because you can't have a defensive 3 seconds, they start off in this matchup zone that eventually becomes kind of a man-to-man. And we'll see if they go back to it here with Ibaka now in. But particularly against the bench units with Williams out there, they've tried to go to this. And so Anunoby stands at the free throw line. And then you've got two guys kind of in the corners, but who are also responsible for guarding right at the basket. And see, watch Tice here. He's going to set the screen instead this time. Brown, stopped from behind by Anunoby. Drive by Van Vliet. On the rejection by Smart. So those guards are now 0 for 4 at the rim.
And that was great hustle by Marcus Smart. And I talked about this with the LeBron block on Andre Iguodala. Behind almost every good chase down block is another defender doing their job and slowing him down. And that's exactly what Kemba Walker did there.
Yeah, so quick games so far. The under 3 timeout is already upon us here. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on whether they're still doing that zone or not. I'm not sure if they were in it on that last play with Ibaka. But just to finish my thought, usually it's Anunoby in that zone at the free throw line. And so what they're trying to do is get someone in behind him and collapse the defense. They got Robert Williams for the dunk, and then Gasol helped off the corner to take care of that, and that's when the corner was open. So we'll keep watching that little cat and mouse game.
Also, I mean, you and I have talked about Robert Williams fading over the gap. I think that was 6.5 consecutive minutes for him. There was a timeout in the middle of it, but we'll see. We were wondering if him coming in earlier was going to lead to shorter stints. It did not in this first one.
Yeah, although again he did have the break, and I think the stints that he was doing, he would come in with 5 minutes left in the first and play until there was 8 minutes left in the second, and that was clearly too long for him. So definitely, I think they are trying to change that up a little bit. We'll see whether that's intentional or not, or whether it happens in the second half. But maybe they also just wanted to come back with Tice. But yeah, go ahead.
Question from Radical Ally: who should be the next Bulls head coach? And my thought with the Bulls is that they should probably go for somebody who has more of a development tint, especially if they don't. I mean, if it were me, I would say like they're not ready right now, though they could be a fringe East team. So I don't know assistant coaches too well. Kenny Atkinson could be there. I've heard very good things about Darvin Ham. So those are the first two names that come to mind for me.
Yeah, Kenny Atkinson certainly is the name that comes to mind for me for kind of what the Bulls need. I think he's I think a somewhat of a similar temperament with to Michael Malone, who Arturas Karnisovas, sorry, worked with in Denver, and has a good developmental reputation. And the Bulls they need some development.
Oh, that's an interesting question for the big three. Why do you think national commentary isn't as critical or insightful as you guys? It seems like they can't discuss or criticize certain things. Um, I think a big part of it is that they have. So I deliberately try not to maintain relationships with players and coaches because I think that it might affect my objectivity. And a lot of times they have interviews that help set up, they give them insight and everything like that. And I think it's hard. If you like somebody, it's hard to say, hey, they did this thing that was bad. And I mean, some people are wired better to do that than others, but I honestly think that's a part of it. And that's why, like, I mean, I stopped going as much in the locker room when we started doing a daily podcast because I didn't want to think, oh, player X, like, he's really nice to me. I just thought it would affect me more.
Yeah, I still I don't have that many relationships with players, but and coaches. I do kind of try to focus more on the players whose games that like I really respect. So I'm not like, and generally I think that like
They're
I get
also better to
along.
talk to.
Yeah, I get along better with like the smarter players anyway. But I think the other part that's interesting about that is just that they're trying to be positive, right? They're trying to sell the game. They are the. I mean, what the reason why they're not is because they don't like the casual fan doesn't want to come on and hear like some talk about oh that guy like failed his assignment on a closeout. They want to hear like, oh, what a dunk by this guy. He's a really good player. I haven't really watched this guy before.
Though I wish they did that more, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, nice cut by Powell right behind. It looked like Smart who had switched onto him. Smart was guarding nobody, and Van Vliet with good penetration. Now a second screen for Walker, pick and roll. It's Wanamaker, and that's not a guy who's going to do a ton out of pick and roll, but he'll take the three off the drill. Big shot there for Wanamaker, who again has really seemed to improve his aggressiveness and accuracy shooting the ball in the bubble.
And we'll see if he does any travels, basically moving initially in his action.
Oh yeah. The two of those that he had in Game 3 were a killer. Nice box out off the mystery. Brown accelerating, going through three guys. Lowry was there for the charge. They'll swing it around, though. Walker couldn't get out there quite in time for the catch and shoot, but now he's got Ibaka. Blows past him, leaves it for Tights and the easy layup. Man, Kemba Walker continues to bedevil Serge Ibaka whenever they're matched up against each other. Now Lowry's going to try Wanamaker. Nice strong attack into the lane. Ibaka will swing it. No advantage gained. Lowry now has Tice on him. Drives into the lane, tries to draw the foul, and gets it absolutely destroyed. And so that is 0 for 5 on those small Toronto guards at the rim.
Yeah. Though it is worth noting, I think Kyle Lowry's drawn 3 fouls. Maybe, let's say 1 or 2 of them were in the restricted area.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think the point is, if you can avoid fouling, you can do pretty well. And certainly it had to be an emphasis because Lowry was so good making those shots, not just getting fouled in Game 3. But the question of whether that would sustain or not, it has not so far. Here's Powell on the open three, late clock, and he's run into by Wanamaker. Wanamaker sticks his leg out saying, hey, he stuck his leg out into me. Let's see it. Nope.
I didn't see much of a stick out.
Nope, he didn't. He just pretty much, let's see if we can catch it here. A little bit, but I mean, Wanamaker just goes right through him. Like that's going to be a foul 99 times out of 100.
Oh, somebody commented, based on my comments, Draymond must not care. Yeah, and also Draymond has cultivated a reputation of being a straight shooter, and he has his supporters and his detractors, both in the media and, of course, among other players.
NFL commentators will call players out for mistakes, though. I mean, the other thing too is like some of these guys just aren't that great, or they just haven't focused on that anymore. Like Stan Van Gundy will do it for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely he will. He'll
Now,
tell
I
you. Yeah.
mean, we've kind of got more passionate about it. We're not like, we'll just be like, "Oh, that was terrible." No, that's something that you're not going to say. And I'll even if I'm doing the League Pass cast, I wouldn't. I would kind of tone down the not the analysis, but probably just the
The tone.
thank you. Yes.
Yeah, and Doris Burke does a good job of criticizing when it's warranted as well.
Here's the pull up from Walker, a little short. Good job by Ibaka getting out on that one as they got through the screen now. Well, now it's Tice against Siakam trying to find the posting up Ibaka. He's been in the lane for hours, and Billy Kennedy recognizes it with the 3-second call. Yeah, he really needed to clear out as he caught that ball to cleanse, as usually they say that on defense, but he needed to do it on offense.
Quick stat to think about: Boston 6 of 6 in the restricted area so far.
Yeah, generally, that's what the Raptors have taken away. There's been so much yin and yang to this series as teams have adjusted. Here's Anunoby denying Walker beautifully, but that leaves Tatum open to blow past Van Vliet. And I'm surprised Siakam did not get called for the foul there. He was really out of control as he went through Tatum, and hopefully Tatum is okay. I mean, that's one where he is slamming into him as he's landing. It looks like Tatum maybe his ankle. Now it's Anunoby trying to post on Walker. Good help from Tice. Good rotation. Good rotation from Walker. And I thought he tripped Powell, but no call was made. Underneath, it's Tice. He'll just take that short mid-ranger, and they get behind the defense once again. Ibaka just stopped there, basically. I think he thought they were in the zone, and they weren't.
Yeah, and Ibaka was very tethered to Jason Tatum there, and then Tice just slid by.
Ibaka now on the pick and pop 3. Goes down. Serge Ibaka shooting it well from 3 in this series, and they get the 2 for 1. Let's see what they're going to run here. About a 7-second differential. They'll try and run the time down. They're trying to pre-switch this. Watch Siakam there now. So someone else is going to set the screen instead. Yeah, now they bring Tatum up to the nail, but this is not an advantage matchup against Anunoby. Takes a really difficult shot.
And again, that was like something I talked about a lot after Game 3. Boston taking a long time to really get into anything, and then it ends up being a Jason Tatum ISO against OG Anunoby with 4 seconds on the shot clock.
That one I understand a little more because they did want to run the time down.
Yeah, but they didn't do anything.
Well, I mean that now Toronto's not gonna get a shot off. No, I guess they did, but it's short. But really, what took them out of it, and part of why they're delaying a little bit too, is as Tatum I think is complaining that Anunoby hit him on the elbow. I mean, this is that. How is that not a foul on Siakam? He's just like running right through him, as we're seeing the replay.
And I think officials sometimes, especially at the NBA level, they focus too much on what happens at the release, but you could still foul a guy after he releases the shot. We see it on threes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what, like, Goldsberry was talking about this the other day of just, like, you can get a contact on the perimeter. It's like the slightest touch is a foul, and you just, like, slam through the guy after he's taken a layup, and it's no foul. Like, yeah. It's pretty dangerous when you do that to a guy who just shot a layup, too. But let's tell people about our friends at bookies.com here.
Absolutely. So bookies.com is all about information that includes those live updating scores I talked about before, but it's also on expert picks. And something that I'm excited about is that for tonight's game, I talked about this a little bit yesterday, which ended up being very interesting. Adam Thompson, who's at 69%, he picked the Nuggets over the Clippers. It's a 9-point margin. You get the Nuggets +9. He picked that, whereas Mark Strautman, who's at 59%, he picked Clippers over Nuggets. And it's interesting because, I mean, we know what happened in Game 1, and so it's kind of the idea of what is the carryover. And something that I love so much about bookies.com's pick section is they give really detailed thoughts. You know, it's like if you're taking the time to publish your picks, you should have a reason for it. And they do a really good job of that. And also, for me, it helps me kind of try to translate what I know about the sport into that, which is like I don't think about, okay, I have a pick on maybe Clippers versus Nuggets, but I don't think about it relative to 9 points, and they give the explanations for that or an over-under or anything like that.
Yeah, and of course you can follow them at Bookies on Twitter. Good follow there. Let's take some questions.
Why don't the Raptors pick and pop with Ibaka every time, always wide open? A big challenge is that Ibaka doesn't make great decisions. So like if it's anything other than the wide open three, then it's going to create some problems. I think that it doesn't create as much of an advantage. And Ibaka's a good shooter, but not an unbelievable one. And he's a pretty bad passer. He's gotten better, a lot better since his OKC days. But I think that's a big part of it.
Does the bubble make a 3-0 deficit any easier to overcome? What do you think of that?
I think it does. And the reason why is because you don't have any road games. And so you can think about, if a team so like the structure of a 7-game series in the NBA, if the team theoretically got on tilt at some point, the 3-0 team, they would be able to get back to an equilibrium. And here they can't. There's stability in terms of where they're living and everything else, but they can't sleep in their own bed. They can't get the home crowd behind them. So I think it's easier to come back from 3-0 here.
I think so too, because you don't have, let's say, for example, right, like this is a 3-1 situation. But let's say you somehow got up 3-0, but the other team, you either had an injury or the other team just started playing a lot better. In that case, then you still would have enough home games. You're still going to have 2 home games left that you can win. That, it's just really hard to win 2 road games in the playoffs, even if you're the better team. And so you've got much better chances where, if the other team, for some reason, there's an injury or just the other team figures you out or whatever, there isn't that, like, still mountain to overcome in those road games. So that's my thought, but I'm not wedded to that. Well, there's the Ibaka, not quite a pick and pop, but he sets the screen for Powell, and Tice had to help on the back cut, and Ibaka hits another 3. So Toronto now leads by 7. Here's the drive from Brown into 2 guys. Missed the layup. Ibaka intimidated him. Toronto looking to push it to a 4-possession advantage here. I'm sorry, a 3-possession advantage, which it already is. So that was a terrible nomenclature. But OG Anunoby drives on Jaylen Brown and gets shoved, and Jaylen Brown, it has been a struggle for him today on both ends, I would say.
Yeah, and it wasn't a huge shove by Jaylen Brown, but enough to get OG Anunoby off of his balance, and that absolutely should be called a foul every time. I'll do quickly because we were doing questions during it. Leading scorers, Kyle Lowry, 11 points in the first quarter on 2 of 5 from the field, but 6 of 6 from the line. And the leading scorer for Boston, Jason Tatum, 6 points, 3 of 6 from the field, no free throws attempted, no 3-pointers made.
Anunoby continuing his strong play, 35-27. Toronto 7 of 14 from downtown now. Boston only 3 for 11. Here's Tatum off the screen. Nice pass to Wanamaker. He'll go baseline. Walker on the drive. Leaves it for Tice. Tried to dunk on Ibaka, and Ibaka shakes the finger. Good job by the Celtics getting back off the missed dunk, though. Ibaka picks up the loose ball. Now he'll screen for Siakam. Another pick and pop 3. That time Tice closed him down. Bad gamble by Wanamaker. And they give up the alley-oop. Anunoby, and they're going to get a travel on Anunoby.
He caught his own airball.
Somehow he airballed the... Did he airball the tip dunk? Oh, here, I want to show you something from this replay. You see how Ibaka blocks this shot? That's the way that Alonzo Mourning would always try and block dunks. Because what you do, even if you can't jump that high, Ibaka can jump high, but you put your hand basically as close in front of the rim as you can, and you know that they have to bring the ball through your hand eventually, even if they jump higher than you at first. Missed 3 from Brown as his struggle continues. Siakam looking to attack off the pick and roll. Brown gets through it beautifully. No advantage gain. Now Siakam with a tough step back. That's a terrible shot.
Yeah, and the difference between Siakam's more in-rhythm catch and shoots and that was very apparent.
Here's Wanamaker trying to draw the foul. Tice with the big jam on the head of Siakam. Yeah, seems like it's shaping up as one of those Boston games. They never seem to get blown out. They seem like they're getting totally outplayed, but they kind of hang around, and then they come back and get you at the end. We'll see whether that's the pattern tonight. Van Vliet against Walker, working into the lane, tries the reverse. Walker stops him. Another miss at the rim for the Toronto guards. Ugliest fast break ever, and somehow, though, it leads to a wide-open dunk.
You know what? It's not an ugly fast break when the ball ends up in Kemba Walker's hands and there's a scramble and he just finds Jaylen Brown. Great hustle by the Celtics. Didn't really have the ball, but kept on moving.
That's about what my three-man weave drills looked like when I was playing in high school. Another miss from Siakam, who really has been aggressive from three-point range, I think, unaccountably. Now here's Tatum. And again, he's going to get fouled here. Van Vliet can't believe it, but he still is going to this like weird 1 foot half floater, and it's not been an effective shot for him. He's either got to shoot the floater or go into a regular layup, I think, or try to draw some body contact. And once they stopped fouling him, remember he had the 14 of 14 in game 2. He really struggled in the last game.
And so far, the Toronto Raptors have taken 13 threes, 9 twos, and 11 free throws.
Actually, I think you got to refresh your thing. They're up to 16 three-pointers as we speak now.
Wait, Oh, my shot charts now went completely down. Oh, that's worse.
Tatum now on 8 points, bringing Boston within 2 after Toronto had stretched it to 8. And they've got everyone out here except for Smart in their starting group. Powell, as Lowry is back in the game here, a very short rest for him. Van Vliet going to try and attack Tatum in an ISO. That wouldn't be my choice, and it doesn't go in. Celtics defense beginning to stiffen. Tatum wants it at the elbow. He's in danger of a 3 seconds. He has to go quick here. He practically probably was in a 3 second. And instead, Brown with another brick. Man, he's really been off. Ibaka stepping up with the screen. Van Vliet trying to snake it. Swing it back out to Lowry. Brown forcing him away from the potential Ibaka screen. Good communication. Now Lowry stepping back. Great defense again. And Toronto looking a little fatigued right now. They're not getting the same type of penetration and movement as earlier in the game.
Yeah, that was something I talked about. The shot quality was going to be able to continue for the Raptors, and as it's degraded, their lead is degraded.
Another wide open corner 3 from Brown. Another wide open miss. Man, he is
huge
really
and not even
struggling.
Close. That was like barely front rim.
And Anunoby trying to attack Tice. Blows past him for the twisting reverse. Ibaka right back. He thought it got hit in the head. No call. Ibaka just shoved Jason Tatum out of the way. Jason Tatum got to be more physical than that.
Yeah, and Wanamaker, it looked like he did hit him in the head.
Here's this little Iverson cut series for Tatum. Tatum looking a little tired here. And Anunoby right on his back. Tatum crossing over on Ibaka. Gets into the lane. Nice. See, he went all the way to the rim that time. Pump faked. I thought that's more effective than that floater for him. Here's Ibaka, his 3. Man, Serge Ibaka now 3 of 3 from downtown, I believe.
Yes, 3-3.
Now they're back into that matchup zone. It looked like quick 3 from Tatum is off. And again, I'll try and call out. It's hard to see it right when it's happening, but to call out what kind of a defense is. And they also went to a triangle and 2 in the last game as well.
And they've only gotten him for 2, but Brad Wanamaker, it seems to be like he's had a lot of potential fouls during the time he's been on the floor, including bashing Serge Ibaka on the head, which they didn't see or didn't call either way. And now here's Robert Williams. We'll see how long this stint is.
Yeah, I think probably will give him about 4 minutes, you'd imagine, and then Tice will come back to finish off. Tice still no fouls, so that's not a concern. Smart back on the floor immediately forces the turnover by Van Vliet. He just denied that pass. Powell, who has struggled with his decision-making, some just threw a pass like Smart wasn't even there.
And hey, it was a play that the rail cam was actually useful for.
Let's not go that far. Okay, so watch Toronto on defense here. They're trying to match up, and now they just cut away from it, so it's harder to see it. I think, are they in a no? I think they're being. This looks like, yeah, this is that matchup zone. So let's see if they go into a man-to-man here as the possession winds down. Smart trying to attack Ibaka, and they're going to get him for that left-handed shove-off. Good call.
Yeah, and I mean, OG Anunoby's really strong, but I think you give that to Robert Williams, and just see if Toronto how Toronto reacts to it, and try to. And he had him that really nice pass to Grant Williams in game 3. Okay, let's take some of your questions. Tatum, Brown, Smart core versus Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and Anunoby. I think Tatum's ability to generate good shots for himself first, and then now kind of getting there, creating for other people. I think that gives them a really interesting combination. I love OG Anunoby, and I love Fred VanVleet too, but I think that I would go with Boston's group. But I haven't believed in Siakam being able to take these kinds of leaps already, so maybe he has another one left. But Tatum, the level that he was at for the second half of the season, I think that's kind of the tiebreaker here.
You're 30 to 60 seconds behind NBA TV. Not sure where that comment is coming from, but everyone around the world is in completely different delay. The one thing that is really difficult for people to deal with is us being ahead of them. Most people have a pause button on their DVR or whatever service they're using, so that enables them to sync up a little bit.
Would you say that Boston is getting good looks from 3 this game? So Boston is 3 of 14 so far. They've missed a couple of good ones. Tatum, the last one Tatum took was better, but I would say overall, no. I don't think they've been particularly good threes. I think if we're talking about shooter in space, I think overall the 19 Toronto have taken have been better looks than the 14 Boston has taken.
Comment on Draymond's tweet regarding the death of the big man if Houston gets by the Lakers. I mean, this is when the shit gets real, right? The second round of the playoffs. There are a ton of teams in the league. There aren't enough quality players overall. I mean, some teams are going to be bad, and you just need a big who can just give you some production sometimes, right? Like Jonas Valanciunas, he's a valuable player for Memphis in the regular season. Yes, is he going to potentially lose some value later on as things progress into the second, potentially third round of the playoffs? Absolutely. But Draymond, I think he's thinking about it for how are you going to win championships.
The
And
16-game player thing.
yeah, and I don't think even Jokic or Embiid or Karl Anthony Towns, the 3 best centers, if they are your best player, are good enough to build a championship team around, just due to some of the issues that you have feeding a big man. Actually, Seth and I talked about that a little bit on the pod that we did, talking about Joel Embiid and where he kind of fits in the hierarchy for Dunked on Prime subscribers.
Thanks to Brett Vasilik for saying he enjoyed the recent Real GM radio podcast. Did that with Jared Dubin, and it was funny because we did it right before Bucks Heat, and we're kind of wondering where this is going to go. And we were talking about Budenholzer not making adjustments and the differences of philosophy between Budenholzer and Nick Nurse in the regular season and how that plays out in the playoffs. And it ended up really boding well for how things went in Game 3. Unfortunately for the Bucks, fortunately for the Heat. So yeah, if you want to listen to that, I should have tweeted out more today, but that was a really fun one we did. What team would you like to see Daryl Morey GM for? So going back to, God, I think I can't remember if I wrote this piece or whether I just pitched it, about whether for Real GM, back before I wrote for even the Sporting News, about that I wanted to see Morey GM the Knicks, just because I thought having somebody with his
All right, hold
vision
on.
would be
Sorry,
good.
we're back here.
Okay.
Now Ojale is in to guard Siakam. Here's Ibaka going at Williams with the lefty floater. Didn't know Ibaka had that with his left hand off the spin. He started feeling himself a little bit after a couple of three-point makes. Now it's Ojale back to Tatum, who didn't replace quickly enough after he made the pass. That quick relocation that Steph Curry knows his work isn't done as soon as he makes the pass. Here's Walker getting Thomas in the air. Did not draw the foul, however. Siakam going at Tatum with a head of steam, and Ojale knocks it away. Lowry will reset now with VanVleet getting a break on the bench. Thomas, Mr. 99%, gets a rebound. He does not get 99% of all rebounds.
No, it does not.
Smart trying to force Lowry away from the screen with Williams waiting under the basket. Lowry engages him. Oh, and Ojale, he's made 2 nice little digs defensively on that possession. Tatum looking to push it. Smart backdoor, and they're going to get a foul from behind on Tatum. What were you finish your thought there on Morey?
Well, that I think he'd be a great GM for a team that has some of the structural advantages of being in a major market, and that we talked about the idea that the Knicks, especially in the prior CBA, had these advantages that they didn't use because they were terribly run, other than maybe the early part of the Donnie Walsh years. And so I'd love to see Morey general manage a team like that.
Let's see what the Raptors are in here. It looks like it might be more of a 2-3 this time. And Tatum throws it away. He said it got deflected.
I didn't see a deflection there.
He said that Thomas got it. And no, he did not. It was just a bad pass. Thomas did hit his arm as he was throwing the pass. Now Thomas off the screen. Good job by Walker getting through that. You can see the athleticism difference between Thomas and Walker. Here's Powell trying to drive, tried to draw the foul, tried to make the shot. Couldn't do any of those things. Now Walker snaking through the pick and roll. Gets to his floater. That's a shot that we haven't seen a ton of from Kemba Walker in his career, but a very valuable one with Gasol waiting under the rim.
I remember that Walker bedeviled Norm Powell for a couple of early fouls in Game 3.
Now Gasol, again, the immediate decision there, Danny, by Gasol, even though Siakam missed that one. Toronto's starting to cool off from three a little bit. They throw it ahead to Tatum. Again, he's in the lane forever. This should really be 3 seconds. I just counted it on the replay. He was in the lane for 6 seconds. Now Siakam back to goal. They're going to bring help here, surely. Siakam going through Walker. No foul. Thomas with the tough three. Way off the side of the backboard.
Yeah, that was a good contest by Marcus Smart, too.
Now Walker throws a pass out to Smart, who did not get down. You got baseline drive, baseline drift. Although I guess it wasn't a baseline drive. But generally you want to try and get down into the corner if there's nobody there on that kind of penetration. And Marcus Smart, I think he's saying my bad for not getting there. But he did at least get the bucket anyway. So Smart, originally number 6 pick out of Oklahoma State back in that 2014 draft, as Tatum is going to take a seat here. And the thought was that he would be, a big pick and roll point guard, and that's kind of what he was at Oklahoma State, that he really had a lot of offensive potential, and his defense was sort of a nice little bonus, but you thought he was drafted to be like their starting point guard, main pick and roll threat, and that obviously is not what he's become, but he's become, of course, a wonderful player.
And that's why I was lower on Smart. I didn't think the offense was going to translate. That largely ended up being right, but he's become such a better defender.
Here's Siakam going at Walker. Oh, and Williams did not get there quickly enough. Walker is upset. He thought Siakam pushed off of him. Toronto back up 2. Man-to-man still for Toronto, and Walker tried to drive, got it tipped away by the Raptors. Beautiful extension on that finish from Siakam.
Yeah. And Williams, I think he cut that off at the wrong angle to an extent. I think if he had gone a little closer to the basket, might have been able to cut that off. It would have been subject to the Euro step, but I think you force a guy to do a move like that instead of just finish past you.
Into Williams, little short floater over Gasol. Nice little touch shot from Rob Williams as Gasol was occupied by the back cut of Ojale. They'll switch Marcus Smart onto Siakam. Oh, what a rejection. Are they going to count this? I want to see whether this is a goaltend or not.
Yeah, I think that was on its way up.
Oh, no, it wasn't. Yeah, I mean,
it's
generally on those situations when it's borderline, you're going to get the goaltending call.
That's true.
They've got Lowry guarding Ojale here, and whoa, what a lazy pass and lazy meat of the pass by Ojale. Now Lowry somehow saves it. Siakam then saves it back to the Celtics. This is a wild sequence. Here's Brown. He's setting up the corner 3 from Smart in the right wing. They have not been able to hit those. Brown, and he's going to get hacked by Kyle Lowry.
And I think Kemba Walker was expecting to get that 3 for himself, but OG Anunoby might have gotten a help block there. It gets it to Marcus Smart, who was wide open.
And we'll get a timeout here. The
Here,
offense,
I
yeah,
want
go
to
ahead.
go through Toronto's shot chart a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. I haven't
So
looked at that yet.
the Raptors are 4 of 12 in the restricted area, 1 of 5 from floater range. They've only taken one mid ranger and they missed it. And then they've only taken 2 corner threes, which they've missed both of. And then they're 6 of 17. Oh, so this might be a little bit delayed. 6 of 17, but that's absolutely fascinating. Like they've been efficient because they've gotten to the free throw line an absolute ton. But really, oh, they made a mid ranger. Okay, so that's something that shifted. So yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting. They've gotten the fouls have really buoyed them so far, and if that starts to get toned down, we could see Boston make it even further inroads.
Yeah, and Boston, I mean, they are, and this is something we talked about in game one, except Boston made their corner threes. Boston is 0 for 7 on corner threes, all of which have been pretty good shots. And Toronto is 1 out of 3 on corner threes. Remember, Boston was 10 of 13 on corner threes in the competitive portion of the game. So they are getting their corner threes, and they're also getting a decent amount of shots at the rim. If they had just hit more from 3-point range, they might have been having an efficient night. They're not getting to the foul line at all, which of course Toronto is, but that 3 for 11 around the rim for Toronto, that's got to get better. Or 4 for 12 on your thing. 3 for 11 on mine. I don't know why that is, but
Um, oh, I think I mine had a little bit of lag. I updated it. Resign Gasol, Ibaka, or neither. At this point, I think Toronto. I think they're going to go aggressively for 2021 because they might as well. I mean, there's so many talented guys. So the way that I would propose it to Gasol and Ibaka is, we'd love to bring you back. We want to do it on a 1 year deal, but we will pay you fairly in that 1 year. And if either one of them says yes, great. And if any of them say no, we say best of luck wherever you want to go.
uh, Sam Martin talking about Boston's first round draft choices. Um, no Ante Zizic and Gershon Yabusele on that list. They've had some misses. No James Young on that list. Romeo Langford doesn't look amazing. So they've had some hits and they've had some misses. But the biggest thing is that they've had some massive. When they've drafted high, they've had big successes, and they just had so many bites at the apple.
Yeah, the trade with Brooklyn was an absolutely incredible one that I pilloried at the time from Brooklyn's perspective, and it ended up maybe being the worst trade of the decade.
Yeah, R.J. Hunter is on that list too. That's right. He'd been gone so long, I totally forgot. Although a lot of people liked Hunter at the time, but
Yeah, I thought he was going to end up with the Warriors actually. Who did they draft that? I can't remember who they took with that pick. Was that no? It wasn't Jacob Evans. That was years before.
if that was 2015, that would have been Kevon Looney
Yeah, I think you're right.
or
I'm
Damian
pulling it
Jones.
up.
All right, we're back here for a critical final 3 minutes of the half, with Toronto having shot it so well, although they've made only one of their last 7 notes. So they're back in the zone here. Nice backdoor. Ojale has got the easy layup. Great job. They had too many guys above the arc, and Ojale, he's played well here. He cut right behind the defense. I think they even had it. They might even had that set up as a set play. Handoff, Lowry. Braun gets through it. Lowry with the quote-unquote trip. Let's see whether there's even any contact at all here.
I think he did hit Jaylen Brown's foot, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, Lowry, hair trigger to respond to any possible contact. Tied at 44.
And both teams have committed 4 fouls in this quarter. So, and the next foul is free throws for either team, even though they're not listed as being in the bonus.
Yeah, you see the 3-point shooting. Toronto started 7 of 14, now 8 out of 21. And
Well, but importantly, that is Jaylen Brown's third foul. The only other person on either team with more than one is Brad Wanamaker with 2.
yeah, Braun is 1 for 8, 3 fouls, 0 of 4 from 3-point range. Williams is back in. They get it to Gasol. Easy pass. Anunoby, short. Gasol making great decisions on these short rolls, though. Tatum is back in. He'll attack Anunoby. Guns a pass to Ojale. Ojale on the drive. Goes for the reverse, and Gasol bridged him a little bit, and Ojale will go to the line.
Yeah, I think that would have been the best finish of Semi Oshale's career, at least the best one that I would have seen, and that's Marc Gasol's second foul.
Yeah, watch the left forearm of Gasol. That's what they're going to call here. Gasol not pleased with the call, but that seems to happen to guys in this game. Ojale, this is third year out of SMU, spent time at Duke before then, so it was a relatively old rookie. Actually shot the three ball very well in college, but really, I think has improved his deep shooting here in the bubble. He hit like a really deep one in game 3 on the move, which was a surprise. And then he also just is maybe not the most intelligent defender, but very difficult to beat one-on-one. And Anunoby forced away from the screen, sets up Siakam. Williams out of the play, and Siakam with the easy dunk. That was Anunoby again, man. Like, he has really been effective on some of these drives. They forced him away from the screen, so he just went right downhill and set up the easy dump off.
And the way to catch Robert Williams is to make him recover because then he gets super jumpy.
Tatum, yes. And so Jason Tatum's starting to understand off that pick and roll. If he drives it, help's going to come from the weak side, and that backside corner's open. He set that up 2 times in a row. Now Lowry going at Ojale. Tries to draw the foul. He lost his shoe. Tatum is ahead. Van Vliet trying to run him down. It does. Great hustle. Now it's Siakam attacking Williams. Looking to draw the foul. Knocked off. Can't do it. Try again. 3-pointer. That's off. Yeah, Pascal Siakam certainly much more aggressive from three-point range than we saw a year ago. Remember, he was being guarded by Joel Embiid in that series. Now Walker gets Anunoby on his back. Beautiful pass fake. Pass a little off, but Ojale with another 3. Ooh, Marcus Smart almost went in for the dunk. And with Anunoby going down, he will instead be called for the foul. And is this going to be
It's
free
an over the
throws?
backbreaker, yeah.
Quite literally that time. Well,
And
not quite literally.
um and
He
Pascal
definitely went over
Siakam,
his back.
Pascal Siakam for the game, he's 3 for 3 on twos and 1 for 8 on threes.
So Boston, after such a nice half from Toronto, in the lead on the strength of that Ojale 3. Little weave action for Toronto. They went to that last time, too. 3-pointer from Lowry. Barely got it off over Williams. Let's see if Boston goes for the 2-for-1. Smart definitely likes that. Back to goal against Van Vliet. Going to try and post him up. Pass was too low for Walker. It doesn't matter. He'll take it. And good job by Siakam controlling the rebound. So they don't really quite get the 2-for-1. That was kind of the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, because with a 4-second differential, Toronto can basically ensure that they're going to have the last shot of the half.
So watch this here. They're trying to involve Walker in pick and roll, I think, doing a bunch of pre-switches. Instead, Siakam's just going to go at Ojale. Can't get anything. Great help from Tatum. 3-pointer from Van Vliet is off. Gasol, what a tip by Williams, but it goes right back out. And Van Vliet hits a huge 3. That's
And
a killer.
that was a terrible decision by Marcus. Marcus Smart leaked out instead of staying in the front court for that, maybe to get a pass, and instead that's why Fred VanVleet was wide open.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he challenged the shot and tried to sprint down, assuming that they were going to get the rebound, and if so, maybe he would have been open. But instead, as Williams hopefully is okay here, he somehow tipped it away from Gasol in the rebounding action, but it went right to a Raptor. So we are going to take a little break here, about call it 10 minutes or so, and we'll be back to talk second half and your questions. All right, welcome back, everyone, from halftime. At the moment, Boston 49, Toronto 49. It has been a defensive slugfest so far. Each team under 1 point per possession. Toronto started off 7 of 14 from three and then struggled, making only 2 of their next 12. Meanwhile, Boston 4 of 19 from downtown. Only one Celtic in double figures. That's Tatum, although even he has not been particularly efficient. And for the Raptors, Ibaka and Lowry leading them with 11. It has been a defensive struggle. And in light of those numbers, the halftime line, brought to you by Bookies.com, has the Celtics favored by 1.5 points. They are minus 122 on the in-game money line, while the Raptors are minus 102. The new in-game over-under is down to 204.5 points. Make sure you bookmark Bookies.com and check out our expert picks daily throughout the NBA playoffs, and visit the site for the best odds and deals with legal online sportsbooks across the U.S. Bookies.com/NBA, or follow them at Bookies on Twitter.
And
All right.
something that I think is going to change, that is going to be interesting for that over-under line, is the offensive rebounding. This has been a very low offensive rebounding game so far. Boston has 1, Toronto has 5, and we'll see if either team can really get some sort of advantage there. They're really flying around the court. The first shot defense has been excellent, and we'll see if the second shot defense is there, if there are ever any offensive rebounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything stick out from like the player usage or anything tactically, any big themes from that first half for you?
Well, we get asked the question from Khalil Waddell of what has led to Siakam's drop off, and it's that he's not good enough at creating one-on-one against a team full of capable defenders. And I think that whether, Lowry had that big stretch early where he was getting to the free throw line, I don't know if that is necessarily, let's call it representative. I don't know if that's going to be the case. So I'm really interested in Toronto's creation and whether Boston can, they're starting to generate those threes. Remember at the very end, Tatum attacking the zone and not passing above the break where he got Marcus Smart in game 2, but going to the corner, and those were Ojale shots. If those end up going in the second half, that could be huge for Boston.
Yeah, back to Siakam, he's 0 for 6 on above the break threes, and that's not really his game. That's if you're open, take it. Maybe if you're feeling it, he's 3 for 3 in the paint. They just got to get him more looks from there. I mean, 8 3-pointers versus 3 2-pointers. Like, that's not what makes Pascal Siakam a good player. Although, at least to his credit, he has 2 of the 4 Toronto baskets in the restricted area. They are 4 of 12 at the rim.
Yeah, 4 of 12 at the rim, 1 of 5 from floater range, and only 2 mid-range shots. This has been a pretty Morey ball game. Boston, 13 shots in the restricted area and only 4 mid-rangers, and both teams have taken significant amounts of threes. 19 for the Celtics, 26 for the Toronto Raptors, though they've only made 9 of those. Let's see if we have any good questions. Will Lowry and Fred VanVleet be able to finish at the rim in the second half? I think they'll be able to do a little bit better than they did in the first. But remember, those fouls were potentially important, and we'll see if Toronto can occupy Boston's recovery and help defenders. I think that's been something that has been better for the Celtics so far. Let's see. Is the return of Rondo significantly hurting the Lakers? I think it's not helping. We'll talk about that game. We're actually going to release a Saturday night dunked on after this game. We're not going to wait until game 2 of Clippers Nuggets, and then we'll talk about that game on Sunday. But yeah, I thought it gave Houston some real opportunities, and it's not like the Lakers were hurting for capable, although they need more outstanding players.
Yeah, and I've only watched the first 3 quarters of that game, so I can't tell you yet for sure. I'm going to watch the rest of that after this is over because I celebrated my anniversary with my wife yesterday. So let's see what else we got here before.
This is a good one from Armand's world. How does Tatum's passing development affect his ceiling? And it helps it dramatically because being able to create for yourself is incredibly valuable. But being able to translate the extra attention that generates into good looks for teammates is really the next level thing. And a lot of the most valuable offensive players come in with a better passing instinct, but Tatum, he can get there in time. And I think that is what the idea was. Can he be the best player on an above average offense? And I didn't believe it before now. Now I do.
Yeah, and certainly it's good for him to have someone like Kemba Walker with him, Jalen Brown. I think they are starting to miss Hayward now. Smart also gives some additional playmaking. Like I don't think Tatum is quite there yet where you can just run every play through him in pick and roll, James Harden, Luka Doncic, Trey Young style, and then he just has enough options to set that up. And you want the ability to run him off the ball as well in the post, get some ISOs. So having those other players around is good. All right, here we go. Second half. They want to get Siakam at the elbow. Let's see if they try and get him going inside and something early. A little flex action here. Screen up for Van Vliet. Walker is right there. He gets through it. Van Vliet tries to go into the lane. Tough finish. Missed that one. Braun did well to tip it to Smart. Zoom in. There we go. Here's Walker. Up to Tice over Gasol. Beautifully placed pass. Nice little ATO to start the scoring for the Celtics. Here's Lowry, who's been quiet. Now they want to force Van Vliet away from the screen towards the baseline. Gasol will attack. Rumbles across the lane. They're going to get the blocking foul on Tice. And I thought he sold out there. He was not really in great position for the charge. Why not just contest that play without fouling? Like Gasol's not some Skywalker. You can contest his shot. He's not a great finisher at the rim. By going for the charge, he falls down and he takes himself out of the play and a foul for his trouble.
One other thing that was notable for me there, Marc Gasol got the ball and was wide open, and he did move it quickly to the corner, but I mean he didn't even think about taking that above the break three.
Yeah, he hasn't really shot it well from there in this series. Let's see what Boston has here. They want to get Brown involved, screening for Walker. Now it's Tice who actually makes contact. Walker into the mid-range, and that's the shot that they now want to try and give him. They're going to actually almost be behind Kemba Walker. They're leaving Gasol way back at the rim and saying, hey, you're going to have to take a mid-range shot. He's hit a couple of those floaters. And now Lowry off the screen, giving Toronto a 1-point lead.
And that's a much better in rhythm three. Jason Tatum tried to contest and close out, but Lowry had it in rhythm.
Here's Tatum snaking the pick and roll. Help comes from Siakam. Tatum missed Smart open, but he just went right through instead for the nice lay-in. Boston by one as the pace is picking up a little bit here. Now Lowry trying to go through Walker in the post. Out to Gasol. Good close from Tice. No advantage gained on that double team post up. Here's Anunoby as Braun fell asleep slightly. I don't know what Braun was doing there.
Yeah, there wasn't really a threat coming anywhere in his direction. He just lost touch with Anunoby.
I think he was getting ready for Anunoby to come off a handoff instead, and so Gasol just threw it to him for the easy jumper. Jaylen Brown continuing a nightmare performance. Here's Tatum getting past Anunoby, leaving it for Tice. Finally out to Brown. Can he hit one? No, he short-armed it. Nice job by OG, and no, I guess it went over the backboard. That was a great pass from Tice, too, that Braun just missed. Yeah, and it did go over the backboard.
And something that I praised Jason Tatum for in Game 3, catching the ball and making the pass in the same motion makes a world of difference.
Gasol, they're going to run flex on the opposite side here. Lowry goes and gets it at the foul line. Tice comes back on to take that away. Now the post up for Siakam. Good, solid position. Where's the help going to come from? Nowhere. He just shot it and luckily rimmed it in. But with the clock running down, I think that was the correct decision because if he tries to back down, help will come. They might have had time to exploit it. Brown has Smart. As Lowry comes off, he'll take the three. Misses that. I thought he had the first one to begin with. Siakam against Smart. Braun helping off a Lowry who wasn't in position to shoot it. Now, nice cut by Siakam along the baseline. Oh, that floater could have been a nice one for him. Walker in pick and roll. He's been the one guy they haven't had the answers for, except he hits it off his foot. And now Walker is very upset about this. Would Stevens consider a challenge here? Nice, courteous exchange between he and the referee to say, hey, you might get back on defense. They want Gasol at the elbow here to do some playmaking. Back screen for Van Vliet. Now Siakam taking the three. No hesitation. Should have hesitated. That's his 9th three-point attempt. He's 2 for 9. I'm sorry, 1 for 9. Here's Smart driving, and they could not get in front of him to pick up the charge. Siakam wasn't there in time.
Yeah, Siakam reacted late. I think he was keeping an eye on his man who was going above the break, and that turn of the head made a huge difference. Pascal Siakam now, that is only his first foul. Again, very few guys in foul trouble. Jaylen Brown has 3, Smart and Wanamaker have 2, and Marcus Gasol has 2. Everybody else has 1 or fewer.
Yeah, Braun, maybe if I were Stevens, I might consider just something to try to like let Jaylen Brown go for a little ISO against a smaller player, or something to try and get him to the foul line and just see the ball go through the basket for him, and then maybe he can get back to shooting the ball the way we know he can. Smart got the penetration that time by rejecting the screen. That's part of why Siakam couldn't get into help position quickly enough, because they gave up the straight line drive instead of making him use the screen. Here's Lowry off the screen. He gets past Tatum. Ooh, 2 in and outs, but Anunoby getting right through. That's a foul on Walker, but they call it on the floor.
And Marcus Smart there didn't grab a body. He just was ball watching instead of getting in. OG Anunoby was the only Raptor that was even close on there. So if Marcus Smart looks for the body first, somebody on the Celtics guaranteed would have gotten the rebound.
Yep, absolutely. He just came right in from the baseline. Forcing Gasol further out on the floor. Good denial by Walker on Van Vliet. Now it's Tatum switching onto him. Van Vliet. Tatum's length forced him to get into the middle, and he does hit that shot. But on the move, 2-pointer over a decent contest. I think Boston can live with that, but they've just got to get more on the offensive end.
Yeah, I agree.
Brown rips through into the lane. Lowry's going to get the charge here. Great help from Lowry, and came off of Marcus Smart on the weak side and just never went through. Smart is not all the way over to the other side when Brown starts his drive. Kyle Lowry is not going to just go follow him. He wants to overhelp, and a 4th foul for Brown.
And we'll see. Brad Stevens has been pretty consistent that he's okay letting guys play through foul trouble, but it's a different question when the player also isn't doing a particularly good job at the moment.
Now Siakam trying to post up against Brown. See if they bring help. Into the lane. Nice left hand. He moved Brown, who I think did not want to quite provide the same resistance possessing those 4 fouls. 2 screens here for Walker. Siakam just switches out onto him, and they're going to get a hold on Gasol as Marcus Smart was running to the opposite corner or something. Yeah, Siakam does get away with like that quick little grab around the arm, or around the butt, I should say, of Brown to snake his way into the lane. And now it will be Brown to the bench as Ojale, who played well in the first, will return, and presumably he'll have the matchup on Siakam.
Yeah, Ojale had 7 points in the first half.
Tatum off the little Iverson cut. Gets space. Nice Euro step as there's. We've seen little of that in this series. The moving Gortat screen by Tice, but he cleared Gasol out to give him the space. And
Kyle Lowry.
No, what is this?
No, Kyle Lowry pushed off with his left forearm right in Kemba Walker's shoulders, and that was an easy call. Yeah, I don't think he thought the ref was looking.
He tried to go back door, and he was looking because it was not less than 5 feet in front of him.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to some of your questions. Oh, thank you very much to Jumping Jack 17 for subscribing with Twitch Prime. That's something. The short version of this is if you have Amazon Prime, they're connected with. You can connect your Amazon account and your Twitch account, and you get a free subscription every month. If you want to, you can use that on us. Helps us out. Doesn't cost you a dime. From T-Last, do you prefer Ojale or Grant coming off the bench for Boston? I think it's very situational dependent, especially with Ojale, but he's looked very good so far. Totally support him. And for Jaylen Brown, obviously you're going to go with Ojale. But yeah, it's a little bit context dependent for me between those two guys.
Take another one. I'm just catching up, and I
Sure.
see if there's some interesting stuff in the stats here.
From Corey, if the finals is Clippers versus Heat, do you think the Heat have a chance against the Clippers? I think they have a chance, sure. I mean, they've been playing exceedingly well during the bubble. I'm interested in their guard creators. You know, that hasn't been the biggest strength. I think Butler would have some real challenges, but some of the other guys would. And Bam Adebayo being a talented switch defender, being capable at the rim, I think they'd have a chance. I would favor the Clippers and favor them pretty strongly in that series, but no, they would have a chance. From Colin Weaver, referring to Dunkdown Prime, think I'm signing up for the monthly podcast only subscription. Why would you sign up for the pre-sale full membership? Because it's the cheapest price that we will ever do for that. And, you know, this podcast is going to keep going. So if you know you're going to subscribe, then it's cheaper. That's the whole point of why we're doing this. I mean, I was an econ
Yeah.
major, so we had a little bit of fun with that. But yeah, that the reason you would do it is because if you think you're going to continue subscribing, you could do so for less money.
Well, and I can elaborate on that too. The lowest monthly price that you will ever, or price on a per month basis, I should say, for anything, any service that we are ever going to offer, unless you're doing the difficult circumstances pricing, which you can email us for. But unless you fall into that category, this is the cheapest price you can pay ever for our service, and you're locked in forever. So, and you also get the total access with all the other stuff like the cap sheets, the links, access to the Discord, like all of that stuff as well. You're getting all of that, and it's cheaper than the yearly subscription to podcast only would be. So that's the reason to do it.
Well,
And
and
you
the
know,
other
if you
thing to
don't think,
mention,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
sorry. The other thing to mention is if you haven't subscribed to The Athletic, that deal is an absolutely insane one that we're fortunate that they're doing with us. And so if you haven't done that either, you're getting I think it's like what, like a 30% discount on both of those if you do it together.
Oh yeah, it's more than that. I mean, I think like the normal price of those two things together would be like in the 200s, and we're offering it for what is it, 145? I think. Yeah, 145. Okay, let's take some actual. Although I guess we're gonna be back here in a second.
I'll see if there's
Sorry for the self promotion there, but
somebody asked.
hopefully that's of use to people.
How did Jaylen Brown suddenly turn into RJ Hunter for this game? Guys have struggles sometimes, and Toronto's a really hard team to deal with on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, but his jumper has been way off, which
Yes.
is kind of unaccountable. Just happens sometimes. Here's Tatum shorting the pick and roll here to Walker. Ojale eludes Lowry for three. Way short that time, though. Nobody from Boston can hit a corner three. Now Lowry trying to attack Tatum. Tatum cuts him off beautifully. Weak side, they're looking for Van Vliet. He's forced out on the floor by Walker. The level of pressure from Boston just making them operate their offense further out, and they're at 6 on the shot clock. They haven't even tried to do anything yet on this possession. Siakam will have to take it. Siakam will hit a pretty deep three that time over Ojale.
Yeah, and Ojale was very aware of Van Vliet driving there, and that gave Siakam a little bit more space to shoot.
Yeah, with Gasol out on the floor, Ojale felt he had to give more help. Good job by Anunoby forcing Tatum further out. They finally get it to him against Van Vliet. Their late clock. Tatum back to goal. He's going to have to create the space, and he gets it, that little Dirk fade over Van Vliet. I thought they could have brought more help there late in the clock. That was one of those ones where they didn't really have time to pass it anywhere
Yeah,
else.
that was actually kind of a Caspi cut by Marcus Smart, but Siakam didn't react for the cut for the closeout.
Here's Lowry exchanging beautifully with Van Vliet. That's a nice action, but can't get the shot. 6-point lead for Toronto in this pivotal game 4. Tice into the post. Here comes the double from Gasol. Tatum looking way weak side. Ojale underneath as Lowry. What effort to get back and take away that pass to Tice. And now he's going to draw the charge. Incredible defensive effort for Lowry. He's on Jason Tatum at the 3-point line. They throw it to Ojale, and in one pass, Lowry sprints back to take away that play to Tice and then takes the charge on the next rotation with Walker. That's what we're talking about with Kyle Lowry's defense.
And what was interesting there, Lowry's chest was always even, but he brought his leg in, and as I understand it there, because he hit it chest and the chest didn't move, that's fine.
Gasol now swings it out to Van Vliet. Gasol on the roll, looking to swing it. 3-pointer from Anunoby. That misses. Good contest by Tatum.
But Toronto's getting better shots in this third quarter.
I agree. Here's Walker, who usually gets a pretty good shot. He's going to go to a tough fader, and Van Vliet is called for the foul. He can't believe it. that won't be too many fouls here on
Oh,
Van Vliet.
it was Van Vliet's right. His right hand got into Kemba's body, and the ref happens to be looking Kennedy on that exact angle. Like that's, I mean, you could say Fred Van Vliet's a victim of circumstance, but his hand is on, I think it was Kemba's hip.
Well, and that's precisely the signal that Kennedy just gave. Van Vliet was saying I was clean up top, but as Kennedy was walking to the scorer's table, you could see him do that two-hand push motion. So you saw exactly what he called. Yep, there it is. That low hand. That's probably an example of high five contact there, potentially up top. But
Yeah,
Walker,
I would call that high five.
2 free throws for Walker. And I think they have a lot of options on this offense, but I would be trying to use Kemba Walker more here.
I agree.
Little back cut with the screen for Siakam. They don't get through that. Or they don't get anything out of that, I should say. Here's a 3 from Van Vliet.
And he's had a couple of really close ones that could have swung this series go just short.
Man, that was a very lucky play. And what are they going to call here? A foul on Gasol? And maybe he had his arms a little forward and hit Tatum in the face.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I saw
Yeah.
Gasol not stay vertical.
That's a great point. Yeah, watch Gasol's arms come forward here just as he tries to step up. And that's I talk about Marc Gasol, his like kind of fat guy fouling technique that he doesn't get called for. Like he's in trying to move forward and get his chest onto Tatum, he moves the arms down. And that's there's a different point of education on that we can talk about. When you're in the air and the guy hits you in the chest, causing your arms to go down, that's not a foul. But if you bring the arms down when you're on the ground, it is a foul if there's contact made. Here's Ojale on the drive. Tries to leave it for Tice, but his pass was off, and Lowry with another great strip. Lowry, but his pass had no steam on it. Back to Ibaka, and Tice intercepts. Now it's Smart. 1,000,000 miles an hour. Maybe a slightly slower speed would have suited him that time. Now they get it ahead. Lowry back to Siakam. Siakam with the smooth finish.
And that was another by Kyle Lowry, another catch and pass in the same motion. That made it hard for Boston to recover. Siakam gets the layup.
2 screens again for Walker. He likes this matchup against Ibaka, and a foul will be called. Mark Davis has got it. All-star cast here, Danny. Mark Davis, Billy Kennedy. All our favorites.
No Kane Fitzgerald? Yeah, and Kemba Walker's overall line for the game, he hasn't touched the ball enough. Walker 11 points, 4 of 7 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, and 2 of 2 from the free throw line before these.
Yeah, they are staying in it with Walker. Clearly, to me, been their most effective offensive player, particularly with just the pressure he makes collapsing the defense. And I think they should try to milk him more as things go on here. We're 4 minutes left.
Especially in the Ibaka minutes, because Ibaka can be he doesn't have the same kind of feel that Marc Gasol does.
Raps going back to this weave action. Now Ibaka was too late coming up to set the screen. Van Vliet attacking Tice. Tice going right back out there on him. Won't let him get the 3. Here's a drive from Van Vliet. Siakam as Tatum helped a little bit too much. Anunoby underneath with the big board and put back.
And we've talked about Boston's defensive rebounding before, and especially when they have big men on the perimeter. Toronto, good job getting in there and getting an opportunity. They would have been iffy, getting back if Boston had gotten the rebound, but OG Anunoby, perfect position, and Ibaka was there too. Note from Bri327 that Lowry's charges are annoyingly effective. Yeah, I mean, he has had a few dangerous ones. I think that guys in the, like drawing a foul on a guy in the air is a more dangerous play. Like for whatever reason around the basket, that is not seen the same way. But yeah, I mean, he's very good at timing it out. And Lowry goes for almost as much as Ersan Ilyasova, but I think Lowry's much better at it.
Let's talk a little about our friends at bookies.com for the final time today. And the information that you get from there is unparalleled from a betting perspective. They're live updating odds. They had a a lot of success in Europe, actually, where they go by gambling.com, and now they are expanding to the U.S. We are glad to help them in that effort because they have a nice product. They've got some really good expert picks with Mark Stratman and Adam Thompson, who's just been an absolute monster so far. And they also have the best live odds. We talked about the halftime line, and they have great deals as well to click through to great betting deals in your state. So betting is becoming legal in more and more places. So go check them out, bookies.com/NBA, and we appreciate their support of this show.
Absolutely.
My name is Rylan. I'm listening in from Australia at 10 years old. All right, man. Good to see you.
What do you guys think about the Nash hiring? A 4-year deal is pretty dumb, right? 4-year deal is pretty standard. I mean, we don't know the exact structure of it, and we don't know the terms in terms of per year salary. But we talked about this a lot on the pod. Was that Friday or Thursday night? And what? So I wrote the piece. I wrote a piece for the Athletic, and Nate and I have talked about this before. That the most important attribute of a coach of the Brooklyn Nets is kind of emotional intelligence, the ability to manage Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, because they're challenging superstars but immensely talented, and so getting them to buy in defensively, getting them to not grouse is extremely important. And I was thinking of Ty Lue being that fit, but Steve Nash might even be a better one, especially with his pre-existing relationship with Kevin Durant when he was a consultant on the Warriors. So they can get somebody to figure out the defensive part of it. I'm assuming Nash will defer a lot, kind of the Ron Adams kind of idea. And so I think it's an inspired hire that makes a lot of sense because it doesn't give Kyrie and Kemba, or sorry, not Kyrie and Kemba, Kyrie and KD outs.
Question here: will the Discord chat be ready on the 8th as well? Yeah, I think so. I at least am gonna do on either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm planning
of
on
next
it.
week.
I'm planning on it as well. We haven't
Oh,
talked
good.
about that yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I forgot to reply to your email. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Danny and I are both gonna do chats. We'll probably do those, 1 or 2 times a month, I would say, via Discord. But obviously, it's a great place for all of you guys to get together and have some chats in a place where like everyone is actually sane on the internet, which I'm told is a rare find. All right, critical minutes now with Brown out. They stuck with their starters for a long time, and it's now Wanamaker, Williams, and Williams, along with Walker and Brown, the 2 good guards still out there for the Raptors, as they seemingly always are, as well as Siakam. Here's Walker against Van Vliet, one-on-one. Tries to create space. Great defense by Van Vliet. But Rob Williams is there. Brown guns it to Grant Williams. Back to Walker. 7 on the clock. Ibaka way out on the floor. Walker trying to get past him. Creates the space. 3-pointer. Fouled. Serge Ibaka just cannot deal with Kemba Walker. He's going to have nightmares about him again tonight, I would expect.
And something to factor in, it affected that play earlier, is the Raptors just don't care about Grant Williams shooting threes, and it's really affecting Boston's ability to get into the paint. Whether Toronto's running a zone or man-to-man in that circumstance, they're just sagging off of Grant Williams, and so that's something to keep an eye on in some of these minutes.
Yeah, whether they go back to the zone now will be interesting. It looked like man-to-man for me that time. But you can tell how difficult it can be to deal with as a player sometime because we've got this above camera angle thing that they don't have. Now they can at least hear everyone calling out what the defense is, which helps. But on some of these plays, I can't tell what they're in, and I can see the whole floor as Walker misses the free throw. But he's really keeping them in it with his foul shooting in this third quarter.
When you could think about the way that, like in an NFL game, you can send a receiver sometimes to kind of get a sense of it, but in basketball, the shot clock's running the whole damn time, and that does really matter. So it creates real challenges for Boston sometimes to figure out what the other team is doing.
Yeah, so with Tatum out, and Anunoby will sit down as well. I think Anunoby has done pretty well on Tatum. It's when they get switched off of him that he's had more success. Van Vliet going to attack Williams. Great job by Walker getting back into it. But they now leave Van Vliet open for 3. Just incredible movement there. And Grant Williams, I thought he actually just overreacted a little bit there to help onto the guy that Walker had, and that left Van Vliet open. Wanamaker trying to go at Norm Powell. Floater from Brad Wanamaker. Is he playing in Turkey again? This guy looks awesome. He was one of the best guards in Europe before coming over on a minimum deal with the Celtics. Ibaka, that pick and pop is there again. Man, Serge Ibaka, that's his fourth three-pointer.
Yeah, and it's one of the challenges of playing Ibaka with a big that can't really that wants to drop back is it's going to be open all day.
Williams on the pick and roll. Back to Walker. Tries to slip it. Williams is open for three. Ibaka closed him down. Williams will drive. Wanamaker, quick release on his three is short. Raptors in transition again. They're trying to run it. Van Vliet cut off nicely by Walker. Gets it back into the lane. Sets up Lowry. Van Vliet again. A great movement off the ball. That's twice on that same move where he's driven, got the ball back. And that all of a sudden, Danny, is three three-pointers in a row for the Raptors. And this is an 11-point game.
Yeah, and Toronto's offensive rating, these teams were hovering around 100 for most of it. They're all the way up to a 111 now, and Toronto has scored 30 points in the first 11 minutes of the quarter. They're 1 point away from their high in this game, and Boston hasn't broken 30 in a single quarter so far.
And Toronto is now outscoring the Boston Celtics by 33 points from the three-point line in this game.
That helps, just a wee bit.
Yeah, I mean, Boston is shooting 66% on twos, but 17% on threes, and Toronto is 44% on twos, yet 38% on threes, and they're getting up a lot more threes than Boston is. So there's your advantage. This is we talked about this in game one. Are we being reductive to say that this game is just all about hitting 3-point shots, or is there more to it than that?
There's more to it than that because they're generating better 3-point shots.
Yeah.
And I think that it's not always about the percentage you shoot. It's about how you can affect the percentage you shoot. That's something that I think is underappreciated. From Get Climped, I'll do this briefly. Could probably wait for the pod to hear it, but has game one changed your prediction? Nate hasn't finished it yet. My answer is yes. I also predicted Lakers in 5. That I will have a mea culpa on the pod for part of that.
Backdoor. Nice from Wanamaker. That is a great pass by Marcus Smart, as Wanamaker has had a really nice offensive game.
And the burst there was important from Wanamaker, allowed him to create some separation from Van Vliet.
Yeah, Walker is out now. He gave up a couple of those threes to Van Vliet on the relocation, so he's going to get a break. Tough shot by Siakam over Jaylen Brown, who contested it well. 2 for 1 time for Boston. Smart at the elbow. Tatum off the screen. He's going to be wide open. One of his few wide open looks, and you just cannot give Jason Tatum that. I'm trying to determine if they were in a zone look that time or not.
No, it was man-to-man. Grant Williams caught Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, and Ibaka, I think, just was asleep. Now there's a miss for the Raptors. They tried to get the 2 for 1. Kind of did. Tatum through the lane. Lowry got a hand on it, knocks him down, and they're going to get a foul on Kyle Lowry, and this will be free throws for Tatum and a chance to bring Boston back within 6. Good response after the timeout. They trailed by 11.
I was going to say that's an argument for why you don't go super early with like a 4-second differential, because Boston could have had the last shot, but they are getting free throws out of it. But there was a risk of it being a kind of a 2 for 1 from Toronto's perspective that wouldn't have really come to fruition.
Yeah, and Lowry got Tatum in the back of the head as he dove for the loose ball. Tatum misses the free throw. So much for them being within 6. He's been outstanding from the foul line. One thing that Toronto has done an excellent job of is reducing the number of 3-point attempts for Jason Tatum. Only 4 today. He was getting a ton of those in the Philly series, and he has made himself into that incredible 3-point shooter. But, he missed 2 free throws. Killer.
Yeah, now 2 of 4 from the line in the game.
Ojelay's in for defensive purposes. They take out Brown with the 4 fouls. Siakam up top gets the screen from the small man. Now Wanamaker staying with him. Tough 3 from Siakam over Grant Williams. and it'll be an 8-point Toronto lead going into the fourth quarter. They are in good position to even this series.
32-24 third quarter. Leading scorer in the game is Pascal Siakam with 20 points, 9 of 20 from the field, 2 of 12 from 3. So that means, for those doing the math at home, he is 7 of 8 from 2. And then the leading scorer for the Celtics, Jason Tatum, 8 of 13 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 2 of 4 from the line, 2 assists, 3 turnovers.
Is there any way the Raptors could afford to sign Giannis a year from now and keep Fred VanVleet? I
Yes.
think they could. Yeah. What's the math on that, Danny?
I'm gonna pull up a
Here,
salary sheet.
I've got it right now, actually. So I've got them now. Much depends on what that cap is in the summer of 2021. Those projections are probably going to need to be updated. But I've got the cap right now at 115, and so they've got 51 million basically in space for that year. But that's no Lowry, no Gasol, and no Serge Ibaka. But they'll have Norman Powell, but I think could easily be traded or stretched to open up some more space. So around 20 million a year or so, they're probably fine.
Yeah.
And that also would require Anunoby with his cap hold of 11.6 million. As long as they keep that on the books, then they can give him a new contract after Giannis signs in terms of the order of operations. But this is why Anunoby, even though he's well deserving of an extension, there's almost no way he's going to get one this offseason. So yes, they would, if it gets above 20 million, then it could be a little more difficult, but I think you would still do it and you figure it out later.
Well, exactly, and the gravity in the NBA almost always works towards star players getting to where they want to be, and so yeah, Norman Powell I think is the clearest way that Toronto could clear a little bit of extra wiggle. But yeah, I absolutely think it's possible. Let's see.
Another thing to watch here, both VanVleet and Lowry played that entire quarter. Both have played. VanVleet has played 33 minutes. Lowry has played 32. And so the question will become if they're going to sit it all here in the fourth.
Let's see. No way Giannis goes to the Raptors. Surely wants to go to a big team. I mean, do you mean a major market? That isn't necessarily true. I mean, it's
the third largest city in North America is not good enough for you?
yeah, and I mean,
I'm sorry, that's not true. You would have to not be counting Mexico City, but
I think yeah,
third largest market in the NBA.
yeah, and there are certain challenges from a television perspective, but yeah, I mean, in terms of winning, they have an excellent coach. You and I both think Nick Nurse is the best coach in the league. They have very good talent. They have in my opinion, the best general manager in the NBA as well. So you can predict that they will continue to find value. And I mean, I think it'd be a totally reasonable one. I've been kind of touting Dallas as a potential destination because I think Giannis's fit personnel wise is a lot better there.
Yes,
but I mean, there are plenty of reasons for him to choose the Raptors if that's what he wants.
Yeah.
And really remember, like, this is something I like to focus on is think of the theory of the case. Why would a player want to do that? And so the argument for Toronto is really good team, great.
All right, we're back
run.
here.
Yeah.
They're looking to try and get it to Tatum against Norm Powell in the post. Brown on the drive, goes at Ibaka, and this is what Jaylen Brown needs here. I think they're going to get Siakam with the little forearm bar rather than Ibaka. We'll see whether that's the case or not. But this is what Jaylen Brown needed, is just some easy attempts. Hopefully for his sake, he actually makes these free throws, though. Brown does hit the first.
And without Gordon Hayward, I mean, yes, Ojeley's played better in this game. Boston really needs their starters to be at least above a certain baseline, and so Brown being below that threshold has been a real challenge for them to overcome.
81-75, Boston strikes first on their first possession of the quarter. Lowry looking to get it into Siakam off the screen. Smart has him now. They'll just switch this with Tatum. Back to goal. Siakam working it against Tatum. Tough fadeaway. I thought Tatum committed the foul, and they are going to give it to him. I didn't see that as a foul necessarily, but I did see Tatum wrap his arm around him earlier in the possession, so that could be kind
He
of one of
did it a
those,
second time.
yeah, one of those cumulative ones. Yeah, hard to see any contact from that above the basket angle on the actual shot itself.
Yeah, there was a little bit of lower body, but yeah, I think it might have been the accumulation type of thing. He kind of put a hand there twice, and so the ref's like, "Hey, man, don't do that." To go through foul trouble briefly, Brown has 4, Kemba Walker has 3, Marc Gasol has 4, Kyle Lowry has 3, Serge Ibaka has 3.
Yeah, Siakam has turned it here in the second half, getting shots inside the arc. And he hit a big three as well. Grant Williams is back. He'll be involved in this elbow screening action. They try to get Tatum open against Van Vliet. Now they tell Williams to get out of there. Oh, they're going to get a moving screen here on Marcus Smart. Yeah, he kind of stopped, and then he didn't quite stop his momentum and goes into Van Vliet, and good job by Van Vliet feeling the contact as Smart stuck the thigh out. But it was just that little extra scoot forward that...
Well, I think it was that his legs weren't even within the cone of his body at all.
Yeah, that's a good point there, too. Swinging around, good movement. Grant Williams on Lowry. Is Lowry going to just try and take him? Yeah, he says, Ibaka, get out of there. Lowry going to the step back. Hits it over Grant Williams. You could tell Grant Williams is just a little muted in his contest. And now you see Lowry do that little like diamond signal. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Yeah, they're back in the matchup zone. That's the signal for the matchup zone. Now they match up man-to-man late in the clock. Smart trying to attack off the dribble. And what do we got here? It looks like a foul underneath as... Huh. Can't tell what that was. But they're going the other direction.
There are limitations to this setup.
Don't tell anyone.
Oh, it was a travel on Marcus Smart. That's what.
There we go. Ibaka looking for that. They love that little like cross weave action with the big at the top of the key between the two guards. Lowry tried to get Braun in the air, could not. Powell has to attack. Braun got a hand on him, no call. Powell misses the layup. Ibaka lost it out of bounds.
And Boston's comeback, I think it's going to, even though they have been better in the clutch moments overall, I think that the comeback needs to start a little sooner. They need to get, I would say the target should be within 6 points with 5 minutes to go. That seem kind of like where they need to be.
Yeah, and they need to have the ball go in from behind the arc. Here's Tatum. They're pretty physical against him. Walker, nice move. Underneath, Grant Williams had no chance, and they bail him out with the foul. I don't know who it was who got it. Maybe it was Lowry, but
I think it was Lowry. Lowry swung.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was a little aggressive because Siakam is right there. Nurse, is that a glint of a challenge in Nick Nurse's eye? Although Grant Williams, I don't know what kind of free throw shooter he is. Makes the first. All right, should we play the game? What is your guess for Grant Williams' season-long free throw percentage? I think it's decent. I think it's going to be like 75%.
I was going to say 71.
Well, he makes 2 right there. No hesitation. 8-point game.
72.
All right.
I was closer.
So be it. Siakam screening for Van Vliet. They switch this. Van Vliet just pulls up over Grant Williams. A little short. Tatum looking to push it. Siakam is on him. Anunoby still on the bench. Siakam forces the turnover there as the guards are all over it once Tatum mishandled.
And that's the second time Tatum was kind of driven into a crowd in transition and lost the ball.
Here's Powell on the Euro step. He's had a couple of chances to finish at the rim and hasn't been able to. Brown looking to attack Lowry. Avoids the charge. Lost it at the strip, but Grant Williams right there. He does seem to be in the right place at the right time a lot on some of those loose balls. And again, back to 6 points. Boston not going away. Lowry waits to touch it until there's and now he wants to call the timeout. They call that timeout right in the middle of the floor so that you can actually elect which side of the floor you want it to be on. And he also avoided the shot clock running down, so they'll have 22 on the shot clock after this timeout.
Okay, let's get to some of your questions. Has Lowry ever fouled according to Lowry? I'm trying to think of the guy who has committed the least fouls. Like of that, Tim Duncan, Marc Gasol are two of them in my head that they never. I don't think they ever believed that a foul on them was legitimate.
Yeah, so actually Blake Murphy had this. That was the signal for the box and one that Lowry was seen giving there. Box and one, triangle and two, matchup zone. It's really tough to keep up with. I gotta say, I'm trying to get better at it.
Oh, people are asking about fake Giannis trades. I'm guessing if this series goes the way we think it might, we might end up doing a full podcast on that. Maybe that's one of the benefits of Dunked on Prime is that we can change our structures around a little bit if we want to. Or we could do a fake Giannis trade a day if that's what we feel like.
My guess will be that he's not going to get traded. I'll say that right now because it's only going to happen if he asks out. Like they're not going to be like, oh, you turned down the extension, we're going to trade you. They're not going to do that.
Well, especially because there are reasons for Giannis to turn down the extension even if he wants to stay, and so that leads to even like if he doesn't.
Wait, what is that?
Because he loses so much flexibility. Like I wrote Eric Nem and I.
You're saying even if he wants to stay for 1 year or forever?
Even if because it would tie him so firmly to the organization as players age that it's if he wants to stay for now but isn't sure about later, he shouldn't sign the extension because it cedes control to the franchise instead of to himself.
Yeah.
Why do you think the NBA hasn't allowed coaches to bring family, but other staff can? I'm guessing it just relates to they have a specific number that they can reach, and they're focusing more because players collectively bargain. They're focusing more on keeping players happy than keeping coaches happy. Do you agree that Giannis is just not that smart for not criticizing Bud and the Bucks philosophy? I don't know what would be gained for him from that, especially doing so publicly. He might have done that privately. We wouldn't know. And no, I mean, Budenholzer, a lot of what they've done they've been one of the best regular season teams in history the last couple of years, and the sample size for them struggling in the playoffs is still pretty small. I mean, remember they beat the crap out of the Celtics last year. And so they got worked by the eventual NBA champions. And then this is the real series where that rubber is meeting the road. But that's, is one series enough for it to be obvious that Budenholzer is a bad coach or something? No, not necessarily. And remember, Giannis, he praised Jason Kidd, and we had Jason Kidd as the worst coach in the league. It's not his job to do so publicly.
Also, the number one reason that they've struggled in this series to me is that Giannis himself hasn't played well enough. Yeah. He hasn't passed well enough. They have not set up 3-pointers well enough. Like if they're loading up to take away the rim as much as they are, like you have to be getting more open threes than this. And part of that's the system, but part of it is Giannis just missing guys. Really, they're gonna give him this. That's before the inbound, huh? Is that gonna be a free throw?
Should be.
Yeah, Van Vliet just trying to get through the screen and then stopping. I would consider this an unnatural move.
I think he kind of tripped on Smart's feet, but it seemed more incidental contact to use NFL parlance.
Ball don't lie there, though.
There we go.
That was actually a really bad miss from a good free throw shooter. Let's check out the personnel right now. Anunoby remains on the bench. Powell is getting one of his bigger chunks of minutes in the series right now, and then the Celtics, they've got their core four perimeter guys out there, and Grant Williams at center, and Ibaka gets an easy dunk. That's the first Raptors bucket in some time, and that's Jaylen Brown again. Like Ibaka sinking inside of Jaylen Brown. That's his job to get down there when the help comes. He was guarding Siakam, who wasn't really spaced out either. Here's Smart off the screen, swings it to Brown. He'll take the three. Not close. This might be the worst game I've ever seen Jaylen Brown play. Uh, at least at this level, and particularly with the defensive mistakes. Van Vliet with Williams switching onto him. This time it's Siakam open for the three, and there another dodge bullet from the Celtics.
Yeah, it was a very late closeout from Kemba Walker when Tatum was on Ibaka.
Here's Brown on the drive. I thought he should have got the foul that time, but a good strong drive. That's a way to get yourself going back to 6. Under the 8-minute mark now, Powell screening to get Walker onto Kyle Lowry. Lowry wants it back. They want Siakam in the post against Brown. He's been effective in this second half. Takes the jumper over him. Hits the jumper over him. Yeah, Jaylen Brown's going to have to start guarding a little bit more here. Here's Tatum attacking against Lowry. Goes for that short floater. Oh, it just barely drops in as Lowry complained for the push-off.
Kyle Lowry's going to use a flop at some point to get a foul on Jason Tatum there. Tatum used his left arm to push off. The refs just didn't call it.
Back to 6. Again, Toronto's going to need to keep scoring here. Powell attacking Walker. Goes past Williams. Good contest by Williams without fouling. But Ibaka again on the offensive glass. He's been excellent around the rim here in the second half, taking advantage of this smaller group.
And no Boston Celtics outside came in to help on the defensive rebounding action, including Marcus Smart.
Great pass from Tatum, but Brown again cannot hit the open three. They throw it ahead. Walker can't get it, and he's going to foul Siakam. We'll see whether they give him a shooting foul on this. I don't believe they will.
Yeah, to me, that was on the catch.
Yeah, so that now a 4th team foul on the Boston Celtics, only 2 on the Raptors. They are discussing here whether he was shooting or not. I'm saying when he wasn't even facing the basket, I wouldn't consider that a shooting foul.
Yeah, I think it should be called shooting fouls more often. But yeah, that wasn't the case, and that was Pascal Siakam. He didn't run full speed, but the idea of contesting a 3-pointer and just keeping on moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely did kind of try to throw it up afterwards, and I think they are going to give him the shooting foul, huh? No? What are they reviewing here? Oh, whether it's clear path? Well, so this is hilarious, Danny, because if it's not a shooting foul, it could be clear path. If he is into the shooting motion, it's just a shooting foul. Another completely ridiculous aspect of this rule.
Okay, let's take a question.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is Chris Paul still overpaid after the year he had? Yes. He's making, I think it's $43 million for next year, and Chris Paul, a wonderful player, like in the All NBA conversation, but not first team. All that $43 million is too much. And when you consider the fact that it's moving forward, and the possibility that he's distinctly less healthy than he was this year. Do you want to talk about the Chris Paul thing, because you might have a difference of opinion?
Oh yeah, I was trying to actually listen to what the referee was saying. But yeah, I think for his production this year, no, that's absolutely a fine salary. For what his production is likely to be next year, no, it's definitely a little much. But I mean, I thought he was great this year. He's second team All NBA. I don't know if he's one of the 10 best players in the NBA, but if you're top 15, that's good enough, particularly when you think of what else you can spend your money on. All right, we're back here. A little more of that flex action from the Raptors. Van Vliet off the screen. Back to Ibaka. Good close from Tice. Here's Lowry now. He's got Tatum on him. He's going to have to take the tough three. Misses it. Ibaka almost had the rebound, but Tice, who's back in for Williams, did well to box out.
And again, the self-created versus the more open threes, big difference.
There's one from Brown. He can't get it. Tice has made 2 nice plays on the boards. Back to Brown again. He'll try and no, still cannot get it. How many has he missed now? This is unbelievable. I think he's 0 for 10.
0 for 9.
Siakam against Brown. Is his nightmare going to continue? Back to goal for Siakam. Tries to work into the lane. Gets the look on the floater. Good box out again by Tice on Ibaka.
And remember, I put the line at 6 points within 5 minutes. This could be the one that defines it.
They got to get more of Kemba Walker here in the pick and roll. They just
Agreed.
haven't run that enough. There it is. Siakam gets a hand on it. No foul is called. Brown is going to have to shoot again. He makes one, finally. One of the more difficult attempts that he's had, and it is within 5. Liberation for Brown, this time from an 0 for 9 shooting night from three-point range.
So we're at 5-11. I want to give you some of the minute totals so far. Van Vliet 40, Siakam 40, Kyle Lowry 39, Tatum 37, Kemba 36, Smart 36.
Now, here's an interesting question, Danny. Are they going to go back to Gasol? Ooh, man, that left foot of Brown was so close to being out of bounds. Or do they stick with Ibaka?
I think they go back to Gasol.
What should they do?
I think they should go back. I think Gasol's deterrence at the rim is valuable in this game because they need to come back.
Here's Lowry on the drive. Tried to draw it on Tice. Can't. Bouncing around. Lowry, no, it's going to just stay here. Boston can't believe it. Really tough to see who hit it out. This intensity is going to be off the charts in these last 5 minutes.
So who would you go? I said I would go with Gasol. Who would you go with?
I guess I would go with Gasol. Especially because he'll be fresh, whereas Ibaka will be tired. Here's Lowry off the screen against Tatum. That is a
Big
huge shot. The out-of-bounds play. 2 screens on that baseline out of bounds. Tice was not looking to step up on that. And Lowry with a huge 3. Walker swinging it to Braun. He's going to try and attack. Siakam goes down. Nice pass by Braun. Open is Tatum, eluding Anunoby, but he can't get the 3. But it gets tips right back to Smart, and he'll be fouled. Gasol, who just came in. Gasol is a good box-out guy, but he doesn't really react to the ball very well on the defensive glass, and Smart beat him to it.
And that wasn't an intentional tip where Gasol was getting it to a teammate. He was trying to grab it and just didn't successfully.
I love that out-of-bounds play design. I haven't seen that one before, where you lob it into the guy at the free throw line, and then with the ball being low, that's another missed free throw from a good free throw shooter by the Celtics. With the ball being low, you have a better angle to pass it to that guy coming off the screen.
Well, and for those who are Boston partisans, you can think of the 6 of 30 from 3 and then 8, well, I guess the 19 of 24 from the free throw line, but a couple of big misses there as being, easy explanations for why this could be a little bit different.
94-87. Gasol pick and roll with Van Vliet. Van Vliet tries to snake it. Here's the drive. Can't get it. Good job by Boston forcing a tough shot. Lowry competing against Walker, trying to bother him from behind. Walker with the pass to Tice. Great rotation. That's so good from Lowry. He just continued to bother Walker. Then he goes and bothers Tice. Then he sprints out to the corner, and the pass was off. And Toronto will use it or lose it timeout here. And really a chance with a bucket here to put Boston into difficulty.
And a very small point that I noticed originally, and then since we each have 2 screens, I looked at it. Marcus Smart just flopped in transition just to try to get a call. There was no contact basically with Van Vliet, and he just took a dive. But then he was able to get back in the play. Let's see. From the villain Joel, is Miami really just that bad a matchup for the Bucks, or the Bucks just playing poorly, or both? I think it's a little bit of both. But the most interesting part of the series so far, and you caught this early, is the Bucks have basically been challenging Giannis to be a passer, and he isn't the most adept passer, especially once he's committed to a drive. And so Miami is respecting their shooters less, but also respecting Giannis's passing less. See.
Yeah, the energy level from Kyle Lowry right now.
Oh, man.
Having played 39 minutes the entire second half, second leading scorer for the Raptors, plus 11 in the game. Pretty incredible. And we'll see whether Boston has enough. Tatum is on 39 minutes now. Smart 37, Walker 36. So those guys will all get pretty close to 40, but some of these Toronto guys are going to get to 45.
From David Geller, what does ATO stand for? After a timeout. So it's usually the first play that a team does. It doesn't have to be the first possession because one team starts with the ball, but usually they can script that and say, this is what we want to do.
Yeah, usually the coach will say, all right, even though we don't have the ball, our first time on offense, this is what we're going to run. And even sometimes you'll see if they get like a fast break on their first possession, then they'll run that play then their next half court possession. So it can even be a little bit further attenuated from the timeout itself.
From Zach Brown, do the Bucks have the ammo to get someone like Brad Beal? To me, no, not unless they use some of their other really good players. And in that circumstance, it's less of a value add. You'd want to trade young players and assets to get a good player in the Bucks position rather than trading your own good players, because then it's a different kind of trade. This is interesting. This is more you because you watched Powell's career more than I did. Which do you prefer, Powell's prime offense or Mark's prime defense?
I think probably Powell's offense.
Yeah, I mean, Powell was
Just,
one of the best offensive big men in the entire league for a couple of years there, and Mark won a Defensive Player of the Year. But I think that that the overall, like if we're talking quality over like 3 to 4 years, my instinct is Powell, but you would know better than I.
yeah, it's tough though. It's definitely tough. And I mean, if you saw what Marc Gasol looked like when he entered the league, to even remotely consider the idea that you could have this discussion with a straight face about who is better, it's pretty incredible work by him.
So somebody's asked the Nuggets' chance of winning tonight. I looked at 538 just for fun. They have it at 30%.
Yeah, we're gonna be back here.
Is about 25.
Sorry. Now Lowry at range against Walker. Walker does well to get over the screen. Lowry taking the jumper over him. Another big offensive rebound, but it goes back to the Celtics. Tatum looking to push it against Siakam. Tries to drive him. Cannot. Now it's Lowry. Are they going to go slow here? Gasol not looking to push it, and they're going to run some more clock up 7. That was a big missed layup from Tatum, but Siakam contested well. Gasol in the lane. Short floater goes up over Tice. That's the shot they want to give up, but Gasol made him play.
And part of the reason that was delayed is Anunoby and Smart both fell over in transition, so the guys just weren't in the right spots.
Oh, that pass goes awry. Lowry on the loose ball, and they're going to give it to the Toronto Raptors. Lowry with a great play. Tatum is down. Hopefully he's okay. I think he just slid into the scorers table.
Lowry kind of jumped into his ankle. I mean, he was making a play, but there could be something here.
Yeah, if anything, though, I thought that Tatum really shoved him more. Like Lowry had the more direct line to the ball, and just the effort level from Kyle Lowry, just the pressure, forcing a pass that's just a little off. There's a little miscommunication of where the pass is going to go, and then even having played the entire second half, the effort level, and we got a timeout here.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, why do you think so many people are falling down in this game? I mean, you have two of the most notorious floppers in the league, guys that accentuate contact. I think that's a big part of it. But they're also being very physical, and like I think there have been a lot of there's been plays around the basket where there haven't been calls and there should have been.
How much better would Boston be with a stretch 5 like Miles Turner? I mean, when they had Horford, I think that did help their offense a fair amount, and they do have all these guys who can drive. I think it could be useful, but then they also have made great use out of the Tice roll into the pick and roll big defender so that he can't actually help it and getting layups as well. I think Toronto's done a great job at taking that away in this series.
I think it would give them another dimension, and but you're looking for somebody that is also capable, sufficiently defensively. Yeah, I would say that's off Lowry, if I had to make the call.
Yeah, and I imagine this is no, it's the knee of Tatum, and then it does it hit Lowry? Had it bounced already out of bounds? Let's see. All right,
Oh,
so
here I
hits
think
Tatum's
it,
knee,
but I think it hits
and
Tatum even though
there,
his foot
yeah,
is out.
it hits the right thigh of Lowry before it actually bounces out of bounds. So I think this is going to be Boston ball, unless it hits Tatum again here.
No, here's my thing. I think it's off Tatum because I think it hits Tatum in the knee when his foot is already out of bounds. His foot is touched down.
Oof.
That's
I
a
don't know
tough
if it does hit his knee there though. That's a really tough one. They're still working on this one.
I stand by my 30-second time limit here. That if it's not that, then you rely on the call on the floor.
Yeah, this is hard enough that you just stick with the call on the floor. I mean, so I can't tell. I think it hits Tatum's knee here. But then does it also hit Lowry's thigh? But Tatum was already out of bounds when it hit his knee. I mean, this is. I
and
thought
and you're, and
the
you're
view
not going to
along
get
the.
this. You're not going to get this exactly right. Like I think with the limitations that we have, it is impossible to get it perfect. So stick with the call on the floor.
This is critical though. Boston has to score here, down 9, with under 3 minutes to go. If this is Toronto ball, and they can bleed some more clock and potentially score here. I mean, the game is pretty much over, barring just a totally crazy ending. Yeah, I thought the opposite baseline camera that was lower gave us the best angle of this.
What's funny is that the answer is a composite. You're going to have to be like, when does it touch his knee? When is his foot on the ground?
Yeah. I think it does hit his knee. All right, let's see what Mark Davis has to say here. Well, when he says something, I think he's still working on getting the right replay. This is
Ugh.
what this is one where they may not be giving successful. All right, jump ball, a successful challenge, but only half successful because it's now a jump ball. But because it's between Lowry and Tatum, I think Tatum is a
But
massive advantage there.
do you understand why this goes to a jump ball?
Yes, because they could not tell who it was off of. That they both hit it
Oh, interesting.
simultaneously.
Okay.
So jump ball from center court. Tatum a massive favorite here. We'll see if any Raptor tries to sneak in and steal this. And the Celtics do control. Big possession now.
And they get a fresh 24.
It looks like they're going to screen Brown away for Tatum here on the near side as they do the pick and roll. Instead, it's Walker getting the open three. I mean, you can't ask for a better shot than that, and it just has not gone in. 6 of 32 from downtown. Toronto can basically ice it here. Gasol, they run that little flex type of play, but it's Lowry sprinting off, tries to draw the foul. They're going to give it to him. Lowry wants 3 free throws, but this will be, they are in the bonus regardless, I believe. Yeah, that's the 5th foul on Boston. Lowry going through the arm.
That's a hard and S foul. See the guy with his arm. I mean, Lou Williams, I think, is probably the pioneer. Lou Williams and Harden both do that. If the guy has his arm on you, just go right through it for a foul.
So these are the first free throws for Lowry since that 6 of 6 in the first quarter. It'll be only 2 free throws for Lowry.
So if we're doing the basics of possession here, the idea is that you get a possession every 30 seconds. So that means Boston, we're in perfect game territory because they have about 5 possessions to gain back 10 or 11 points.
Yeah, and turnovers and 3-shot fouls. But this Raptors team is probably too smart for that. 11-point game. Walker pick and roll with Tatum. They'll just switch that. Anunoby all over Walker on his back. Walker can't get anything. They swing it to Braun. His three goes down. A couple of threes in a row now for Jaylen Brown all of a sudden. Great pass from Kemba. Smart trying to hound Lowry. Gotta love the matchup between those two Bulldogs. Lowry screening for Siakam. Tries to go back door. Nothing there. They'll try the other side. Good denial by Walker on Van Vliet. And Nick Nurse is he going to get a timeout? Or is there blood on Lowry's jersey? What's the story? Yeah, it looks like a timeout. Good, maybe a good job here by Nurse to not have these guys playing too long, as tired as they are, and he can set something up. You do, of course, run the risk that you are in a close game late and you need to call timeouts to inbound or advance the ball and you don't have any left. But you know that you can use it now, and you don't know if you're going to need it then. The game could be totally out of reach.
Right, and so 6 seconds on the shot clock isn't a ton to get it, but they can also make sure that they get back on defense, which is important. I mean, so you bring up 3-shot fouls and turnovers, but then the other thing is just avoiding giving up transition buckets. And remember, back in that when Miami nearly blew their lead in Game 2, some of that was also the Bucks getting really fast scores too. It's the kind of the third element.
Yeah, and that is one thing that Boston has not done any of. I mean, how many transition buckets does Boston have in this game? Like 3 or something?
Yeah, it's ESPN's crediting, which we think they're a little bit lax on this. The league officially, it's 7 fast break points for the Celtics and only 6 for the Raptors. I'm gonna look at 538 if I can pull it up in time.
Or cleaning the glass, you mean?
Clean the glass, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Clean the glass they have it as actually both teams as having negative points plus per possession in transition.
Well, Gasol missed that fadeaway in the lane. That's what they ran the play for. Here's Braun on that quick attack. He's stopped from behind. Another miss at the rim. Toronto's rim defense has been fabulous of late. That layup and the Tatum one, maybe that could have changed things, but those are very difficult shots. Lowry's going to dribble the air out of the ball late in the clock. Going to just go at Walker, creating the space with that big body. He's short, though. Little time now for Boston. They got to pitch that perfect game you mentioned. Siakam tries to draw the charge, and are they going to get him for a blocking foul instead? Looks like it. So that'll be the first in the last 2 minutes against the Raptors.
Yeah, and I believe that's their 4th team foul, so they should be okay for not getting in bonus that way. I didn't see much there.
19 to work with on the clock for the Celtics. Into Tice. Screen away for Walker. Good switch out by Siakam to deny him. It's Brown instead out of the corner. He's got Smart. Tatum with the 3. Big shot. They need it. Can't get it. But Marc Gasol is called for the hold. Nick Nurse cannot believe it. He thought that Tice held his guy. And we get to see the apoplectic Nurse face. Yeah, that's 6 of one, half dozen the other on that play.
Yeah, but the jersey grab by Gasol, I think it's got that's the most obvious thing to see.
That'll do it for Marc Gasol, and that is a foul that will send Daniel Tice to the line. And the 2 big free throws. Generally, I find on those loose ball fouls under the basket, it seems to go in favor of the offensive rebounder.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And particularly if you're a guy like a Steven Adams or an Enes Kanter who has a reputation of being a really good offensive rebounder, or a Tristan Thompson, you get more of those calls. Another missed free throw. That is huge because he makes both of those. It's a 2-possession game. Now it's guaranteed to be 3, and Toronto will have the ball. If he makes 2 of those, they still controlled their own destiny without having to foul. Another missed free throw. Right back. Tatum, though, with the layup, and he scores. Smart is down.
And I think they might be calling this an and
They
one.
did call it an and one.
Yeah,
what a weird play. Who'd they get for the foul?
I think it was Anunoby.
Yeah, after Anunoby, first he fouled Smart. He hit him in the face.
No, they gave that foul to Serge Ibaka. and that is Ibaka's fourth, so he's fine.
Big play there. Yeah, Boston, I said they control their own destiny. It's probably going to be a little close as Tatum makes the free throw. If Toronto runs off 24 seconds here, Boston will get it back with 33. It's going to be very difficult to get 2 possessions out of 33 seconds
Well,
without fouling.
and that's why I think you try the quick pressure trap and then foul if you can't get something because
Yeah.
it's the math's just too tight.
Yeah, we'll see if they go with some sort of, I wouldn't foul here. I think you pressure them up. That's what they're doing. They get it across with Siakam. Good pass from Van Vliet. Back to Van Vliet. And now they're going to settle into their defense. 12 on the clock. They don't pre-switch this screen, interestingly. And Van Vliet has a wide open three to end it. Missed that. I would have taken the time out there. They blew it. They could have gotten the 2-for-1. And then an offensive foul on Tatum.
And we
He
talked
shoved
about
off
the push-off.
on Lowry. And Stevens totally blew it there. They had to get the 2-for-1. And, I mean, obviously it's not great. Like, that's one where the new coaching philosophy is, hey, you get transition, go for it. But with 36 seconds, they had to get the 2-for-1 there to give themselves any chance. They don't. Now Anunoby is hit by Walker on a clear foul, and he can put it away with these 2 free throws.
People might remember I said, I think it was the beginning of the fourth, maybe late third, I said Kyle Lowry was going to flop for a foul on Jason Tatum's push-off because that Lowry was going to do it. And if you notice what got the call, it was that Lowry put his arms like he was falling in Die Hard, and that made it easier for the ref to notice the contact. Also might have heard something, but from visually it made it more apparent.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great call, Danny, and those guys have been matched up a ton in these series, so there's plenty of time to sort of play that cat and mouse game. Lowry thought he'd gotten fouled before, and he probably complained to the referee about it as well, and you just kind of plant that seed for the next time. Here's Anunoby to really end it. Anunoby has been a great shooter in this series, and with this a 7-point game, let's just reset now. We are even up at 2 apiece. The last 3 games have been incredibly close. What do you see happening in this series going forward?
So I think of this as a very tight series that I still think Boston can create better offense late. If, let's say, it's like more of a tie game, if they have to frantically make their way back, it's a little bit challenging. And I mean, so Toronto did a better job, especially like early they got the fouls. And then later on, I thought they did a good job getting better shots. But keep in mind, so the other way, I think Toronto's defense is wonderful, but Boston missed a lot of clean looks today. They're at 7 of 34 on 3 so far. Even if maybe they're below their normal standard because Toronto's a wonderful defensive team, you expect that to go up a little bit. So I think we're in line for a long series. What you and I thought we were going to see at the beginning of the series and then didn't think we were going to see after games 2 and 3, I think that's where it's going.
Yeah, I mean, as you look at it, Boston, somewhat similar shot charts here to game 1, but Boston was 2 out of 12 on their corner threes instead of 10 out of 13, and the Raps only got 5 corner threes. So that's usually an indicator of how healthy your offense is. And Boston, they're shooting like well over 60% from 2. Now the foul line is definitely an issue. Like that can determine a lot as well, right? Like, but this one, I think it's more facile to say 7 out of 35 versus 17 out of 44 from 3. That's your game. They get it in quickly to Smart, trying to get a quick 3 from Walker, and Anunoby just closes him down again. Smart will have to jack it up, misses that. Rebounded by Lowry, and that will do it. Thank you so much for joining us. New Dunked On will be in your podcast player, hopefully in about 2 hours or so. And if you haven't yet subscribed, dunkedon.supportingcast.fm. Thanks so much for joining us. And tomorrow, at least I, and potentially Danny as well, will be back for Houston and the Lakers. That'll be at 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern Sunday night. We'll talk to you all then.